All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's get it all stirred up for you here one more time. Around the block, we're going to do this thing. This week will be the last time we do it in 2020, and we're glad to see 2020 go. How you doing, everybody? Nick Taliaferro here with you for the final week of Evening Words here on WURD. 2020 is the year that saw the return of yours truly. So glad to be welcomed back so warmly by all of the listeners and all of my friends here at WURD. Speaking of being back, ladies and gentlemen, he was gone for a week, but it felt like 10 years. His lovely face was missing. His dulcet voice did not charm us. His grace and his skill behind the boards went lacking, but now he has returned. Please give a warm welcome to the pride of Sicklerville, New Jersey, the scion of Hampton University. Ladies and gentlemen, please a warm round of applause for Mr. Eric Nixon. How you like that, man? Do you feel good? You feel good, sir? Do you feel good about it?
Been and gone.
I can barely hear you, man. Do you feel good about it?
You might have to turn up your sound there on your board there, sir. You change
What?
things when I go away. I don't know.
Am I overmodulating?
No.
Am I undermodulating?
No.
Oh, well, then I don't know what's... You sound great now.
Did you change something to up your volume?
I did not.
How about now?
No, it sounds the same. It sounds really the same. I think what it is, I think your being away has caused an erosion of your skills. And now being back in my presence, you're starting to up your professional game.
Sure, let's go with that. Let's go with that. To save of time.
Did you? First of all, did you have a good Christmas?
All things considered, it was an okay
considered.
Christmas,
All right.
yeah. You know.
All things considered, all things. I saw the beautiful picture of you and Her Highness.
Yes.
Is she allowed to be spoken of on
Yes,
air,
she's allowed to be spoken of.
or is she the one whose name shall never be mentioned?
This isn't Harry Potter, although I did get her that for Christmas.
Her name is Desiree, and of course in the middle of Desiree is the word desire. That is Eric's sweetie pie, and we are so glad that she is in his life. She has just made such a wonderful difference. I want to greet her. I want to meet her so that I can tell her how much she has done to make you the man that you are.
What are you talking about?
I'm just trying to be nice, man. I think that she, you know what they say, behind every man there's a good woman, and beside every really good man there's an even greater woman. And she has stood by your side, and she has just caused you to rise up and to become, a true prince among the people, man. I tell you, that Desiree, she deserves. Is she from the Philadelphia region?
She is, yes.
I knew it. It's all over her. And the thing about it now is that the two of you are starting to look alike.
Yeah, I noticed that when in relationships, when people stay together for a while, they start to look similar, which is an interesting observation for humans in relationships, that they start
they say it happens with dogs too. I mean, but maybe Desiree should get a dog. But couldn't resist it. It was just laying right there saying, "Use me, use me, use me, use me."
Geez, that was just rough. Yeah.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, score one for the kid off of vacation. I don't know. He might be barking up the wrong tree. He's making the fur fly. It gives me reason for pause. Okay, I hit 3 in one.
Skedaddle along.
Okay. Hey, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. The first voice that you'll be hearing, should you happen to call in, will be that of the producer extraordinaire, Mr. Eric Nixon, back from his vacation. And, of course, we send a nod and a wink and an atta-girl to Desiree. Desiree, haven't met you yet. Looking forward to it. All right, folks, we got a full program for you. I mean, there's so much to talk about, not only today, but this week. I mean, this year has been 5 years long, so we're going to be covering the year 2020 this week. I mean, we'll be giving it the once over, and trust me, it deserves the once over. We really need to look at things that's gone on this year. It's just been really, take a look at some of the things that's going on this year. I'll come back and we'll deal with that in just a moment. But one of the things that we want to talk about as we try to get through the year 2020, as we try to get out of it, is this latest game being played by the President of the United States. Not for much longer. Thank you, Lord, not for much longer. But President Donald Trump, I'm so grateful that God has allowed me to live through the 4 years of the expression President Donald Trump. But President Donald Trump messed around with this COVID-19 relief package. Congress had been messing around with it for the longest. A vote is going to be taken about 5 o'clock in Congress today. We've had the good fortune of reaching out to Congressman Dwight Evans, who of course represents the 3rd Congressional District here in the city of Philadelphia, to ask him what's really going on with this vote. He's been kind enough to consent to spend a few moments with us before. Right, a little bit after that, we're going to go down to Atlanta, where there is a pitched battle for the Senate seat, of course. Now, we've been in touch with Reverend, and just like that, as well as Reverend Warnock. Thank you, somebody. Folks, let me tell you, this early onset thing is starting to scare me a little, because I'll have something in my mind and it will vanish just like that. But going down to Atlanta at 5 o'clock, we want to speak with a gentleman who did things the right way. You know, that city right now is really in turmoil. Atlanta is the happening place right now. It was in the Atlanta environs where 4 African-American sheriffs were elected for the first time in that region. 4 African-American sheriffs. It's showing that people are beginning to get past the simplicity of the foolishness of racism in order to make some type of human progress. Well, there's some people who are and some people who aren't. A proprietor of an Exxon convenience store in Atlanta said some extraordinarily disparaging things about the black community. It just so happens that his store was in the black community. Now, what would happen next in many places is windows would be busted out. I like saying it the way they say it on the street. Windows would be busted out. Fires might be set. Curse words would be flung. All sorts of destructive things could happen. But down in Atlanta, they decided to do things the right way. They got together, they organized a boycott, and it went on, and it starved that convenience store out of business. The owner of the store realized he could no longer do business in the community that he spoke disparagingly about. And what happened next was that the boycotters found themselves in a position to take over a store. We're going to talk to the leader of that boycott. His name is Joe Jones. I've never met him. Just had a chance to reach out to him through his spokesperson. He'll be joining us at 5 o'clock to talk about Atlanta, and in particular, the Atlanta Exxon store boycott. I can't wait to hear from him. Now, we may skip over to Nashville. I'm not sure if we can make it or not, but I spoke with Lance J. Actually, his name is Jay Lewis, but he is the host of the Lance J Show. It's a syndicated sports talk show, and well, it's really, they talk about everything on that show now. And I've known Lance J for a long time, and you're talking about a guy who's brilliant, but can be wild and out of the pocket. He has connections to Nashville, has a store in the area, a business in the area. And we want to talk about what happened over in Nashville over the weekend when a bomb blew up in one of those mobile campers, and it knocked out a lot of the cell phone grid in the Nashville area. One of the pastors in the area, Pastor Furman Fordham, known to those who know him, better known to those who have known him for a while as Pucky Fordham. Pastor Fordham, the pastor of the Riverside Church there, can't communicate with us because his service has been knocked out by the bomb that exploded in Atlanta. And last but not least, in the 6 o'clock hour, it is time for us to come together and to do some slow song singing and flower bringing for the Philadelphia Eagles, who lost their chances for an afterlife after the season. We'll be doing all of that on today's show. Reaching out to my nephew, see if we can catch up with Adam Taliaferro. He's my favorite football player, and we'll see if we can get him to come on and help us with a postmortem. Now, before we get into the program real good, we just want to spend a few moments taking a look at the year that was. Now, later on this week, before we get to New Year's, we'll have some journalists to come join us to look back on the stories of the year. And then we'll have some spiritual people to come to look forward to the year that is to come. I mean, this is going to be a week, folks, that if you're going to miss any week of Evening Word, you should have missed last week, because this is a week you don't want to miss. I'm telling you, it's so good that we ought to charge admission, but we're not, because we're good people. But we're going to be talking with some journalists about stories that were. And before we take our first break, let's just visit some of the stuff that happened this year. I mean, it's hard to believe that this year had all of this to happen in it. It was back on January the 9th that the World Health Organization made an announcement that, for most of us, was so remote and so inconsequential as to not even be a news story. They announced that a virus had emerged in Wuhan, China, and people over here said, where? And Wuhan. And somebody said, is that what, was that a rap group, the Wuhan Crew? No, Wuhan, China. Is that what you say in the middle of a hip hop song? Like, Wuhan, got them all in check. No, Wuhan, China is a large city in China. And they said that a virus had emerged from that. And we said, shh, poor Chinese, sorry about that. A little bit later on, they said that it was starting to move out of Wuhan and other places. We said, wouldn't want to be those folks. A month or so passed, and the next thing you know, they said, we have found one person with it in Washington State. That's what Washington State gets for being so far to the west. And before you knew it, this virus had wrapped around the world and had connected with over 20 million people, yours truly being one of them, it is believed, and has resulted in over 751,000 deaths. Over 751,000 deaths. I think it's a little more than that. And the United States, I remember when Italy was really suffering from it. We began to wonder what was wrong with the Italians. What were they failing to do? Why did God curse them so? And the next thing you knew, it hit New York with the fury of 1,000 thunderstorms. And then it was everywhere. So, that's, 1 year. This year, the 2020 is defined by this pandemic. But remember, it was earlier this year on January the 26th that the news hit us on, I believe, a Saturday afternoon that stunned us. I mean, the clock seemed to stop. Time felt like it stood still. And we were really shocked, and we couldn't really gather ourselves to figure out why we were so shocked, because after all, we didn't know him personally, but the word had reached us that a helicopter crashed on a hillside in Calabasas, California. But on that helicopter was all-world basketball player and son of the Philadelphia region, Kobe Bryant, with his daughter Gianna and 7 other individuals, all killed instantly when a helicopter crashed in a fog on January the 26th. It seems like it was 5 years ago that Kobe Bryant died. We forgot that at the beginning of this year, on February the 5th, well, actually a little bit earlier than that, that President Donald Trump was actually impeached. They had a trial in January. He was impeached. The President of the United States was impeached this year. We forgot about it just that fast. He was impeached. Now, the good news is that even though the impeachment didn't hold, the election will, and he's still going to be out. On February the 5th, the Senate acquitted President Donald Trump, but a little bit later on, we renewed the impeachment by voting. On March the 9th, this is something that I totally forgot about, but on March the 9th, the stock market crashed. We went all the way back to the Great Depression times. It was the worst single day point drop ever on the stock market on March 9th. The fact that we did not plunge worldwide into an unmoving depression is amazing. I imagine all of the stopgaps that were put in place after the last depression may have saved us some. But there was a crash. And then came the real crash. The death of George Floyd, the death of Ahmaud Arbery, the death of Breonna Taylor, the shooting of Jacob Blake, The two shootings now, most recently, in Columbus, Ohio. Police shootings took the forefront of unarmed black men. The Black Lives Matter movement revived and was resurgent, went around the world. Things began to change and still are changing. That's all this year. Wildfires erupted everywhere. There were wildfires in Australia first, and then wildfires in California, all the way up to Washington State. Millions of acres burned, in regions the size of entire cities and states burned down as people watched. Homes went up into flames just like that. Firenadoes were launched as tornadoes came out of the conflagration of these forest fires. The Supreme Court lost one of its true trailblazing members as the notorious, how do we say it? As the notorious one, as she lost her battle, her ongoing battle with illness and cancer. I mean, what a year this has been. What an extraordinary year. Well, we'll be covering all of those stories and more this week. Just, and then we'll be finding out what you think the stories of the year are as well. So keep your mind open and also allow your tongue to do a little wagging too, because we want to hear from you as we cover these stories. I want to remind everybody that even though Christmas is over, Kwanzaa is just starting. And of course, there are many people still buying gifts. And if you're still looking for a gift, and maybe you didn't get one last week when you needed to get one, it's not too late for you to check in with WURD's virtual holiday marketplace. Buying online, shopping online, saving yourself the toil and the strain and the gas of running from place to place. You can find some of the most unique buys online on our virtual holiday marketplace. And you're doing so in a way that allows you to support small, local, and Black-owned businesses so that you can be a lifeline to uplifting your community. Purchase your holiday gifts today at the WURDradio.com marketplace or WURDworks.com marketplace. Once again, go online to our virtual holiday marketplace at WURDradio.com marketplace or WURDworks.com marketplace. And, we're going to take a quick break, but somebody just reminded me, of course, of the people that we had lost. We had not done those postmortems yet, but yes, we were going to talk about the death of John Lewis, the death of Reverend C.T. Vivian, who was my hero, and there were others as well. I mean, we've lost so many people. We'll be doing a postmortem as well. All of that, all week long, we've got it coming at you, folks. You're listening now to Evening Words. I'm Nick Taliaferro. When we come back, we're going to be catching up with Congressman Dwight Evans to find out what in the world is going on with this coronavirus relief package. They're going to be voting on it in a few. We'll find out from our congressman what it's all about. Let's take this quick break, and then we'll come back and continue talking one-to-one right here on WURD. Stay with us.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
I'm Councilmember Derek Green. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccine for COVID is coming. However, now is not the time to let our guard down. As COVID continues to spread, keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, and avoid large get-togethers. It will take time before we all get vaccinated. Until then, keep yourself, your family, and community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
We're jammed on 95 this afternoon from an earlier crash, 95 southbound at Girard. Accident cleared out of the way, but delays are still out there. Going back to the Betsy Ross Bridge, 95 northbound slows, Betsy Ross Bridge to Bridge Street. In Delaware and Wilmington, we've got some delays on 95 between 295 and 141. Back into the city now for the Schuylkill Expressway, where we're jamming up through the construction westbound University Avenue to 30th. The left lane's blocked there till next month. Elsewhere, we are jammed up on 76 westbound City Avenue out to Belmont Avenue. Eastbound, we're a bit stop and go from the Blue Route to Gladwin, also between Montgomery Drive and University Avenue. Report brought to you by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need to start the year right, like home office furniture, the latest tech and organization supplies, all at amazing prices. And now at Staples, 2021 dated desk pads are just $3.99. Offer ends 1/2/21 while supplies last. Get big savings from Staples. For more traffic info, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jason Lee with your Philadelphia area traffic.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Back with you here, ladies and gentlemen, on Talk Central, WURD AM 900 and 96.1 FM. I'm Nick Taliaferro. This is Evening Words. Be with you all the way up until 7 o'clock. Joining us 7, sincerely, Sarita comes your way. Save space for her. She'll be coming to you with a particular brand of radio expertise. You do not wish to meet it. I had the sad but privileged duty today to help a family say farewell to a loved one. To all of my friends from the French family, we wish you all the best as God lends his consolation to your family. Good man, really good man. Loris French was laid to rest today. His son Richard, one of our strong members of the church that I happen to pastor. And I must tell you folks, I've been saying this for a minute or two now, but you know, I've been around. I've been around the world, and I have never found a nicer, a better church. And maybe it's just better for me. But good, hard, strong, hardworking people at the West Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church, the church where I am privileged to be called pastor. I must tell you, I never thought that it could be that enjoyable to be the pastor of a church. Great people, and today we laid to rest a very, very great man, a good member, and a good family, and it was a privilege to help them walk through the valley of the shadow. Programs dedicated to the memory of Loris French. All right, folks, let's continue on in our conversation. We are hoping to have with us Congressman Dwight Evans, recognizing, of course, that they are in the middle of a pitched battle. You all know what's going on with this story. You've heard about it already, and that is that President Donald Trump, so glad that I only have 3 more weeks to say that. Yes, I mean, just pause a moment. Just 3 more weeks to say it. President Donald Trump. I'll never say it. After he's out, I'll never call him that again. You know how we call President Bill Clinton still President Bill Clinton, and we call Barack Obama President Barack Obama, even after they are no longer in the office? Well, I will not accord that level of regard to Donald J. Trump, because he has been the absolute worst specimen of a human leader that I have seen in my black life. And I've been black a long time. Well, he's been playing around, monkeying around is the best way of saying it, with this piece on the coronavirus package. I mean, first he sends his person in to construct the deal, and then after they take forever to finally come up with a plan, with something that resembles a plan, the president decides that he's not going to sign the plan. Now, he had all of this time to toss his opinions out or to try to lend influence to get his Republican colleagues to either beef it up or to not beef it up, whatever the case might be. But he waits until they come up with a plan and then starts trying to grandstand, saying he's not going to sign it. He's not going to do this, that, and the other. No one really could figure out what he was up to, but the fact of the matter is that Congress had the votes to override his veto and to push this thing through anyhow. But finally, after rattling the saber and selling wolf tickets all weekend, the president pusillanimously picks up his pen.
What?
And what was that, pusillanimously?
Yes.
You're not familiar with that one?
No.
Yes, pusillanimous. It's a. Now, I'll be honest with you. I believe that it may be a word that may have spurred a curse word, but pusillanimous is a word that means weak. It's a word that means lacking courage, without real conviction. P-U-S, and be careful right there as you spell it, P-U-S-I-L-L-A-N-I-M-O-U-S, pusillanimous.
Slow claps. Congratulations for the spelling bee there, sir. Congratulations.
Let me look it up. Here it is. Proceeding from or indicating a cowardly spirit, lacking courage or resolution, cowardly, faint-hearted, timid. President Donald Trump is a pusillanimous person.
I was saying because the context is important. Because if I was caught off guard by that word without the context, I did not know what you meant. But carry on.
You thought I was calling him something, didn't you?
No, I just never heard that word before, and I needed context. Needed definition to the context to know where this is going.
I want you to know, man, that words like these saved me from being suspended, because when I was a kid, I used to curse a lot. And I'm ashamed of that. And so I remember my friend Jerome Sands, when I was at M. Hall Stanton, said, "Why you cuss all the time?" And I realized I needed to find another way to express myself, that I was being pusillanimous in my approach to language. And so I learned other words. And that is our word for the day, pusillanimous. President Donald Trump picked up his pusillanimous pen and signed a document that he said he would not sign. He finally, and really gained nothing from it. My understanding is that some of the Republicans said that, okay, all right, if you sign this document, we'll look into the fraud investigation on your bill. And basically, they're going to take a look at it and say, oh, we looked into it, we didn't see anything. But he signed the bill now that will give us $600 if you are a single person living under a certain wage. $600 as a part of relief. That's just enough money to get you in trouble. $600. If you're a couple, of course, it's $1,200, which this is half of what it was the first time around. The Democrats are arguing, no, let's go with the $2,000 that you said. And this goes to people like myself. I have not lost a dime in this pandemic, not one red cent. And even though I will accept the money, of course, because I'm not a wealthy man, but the truth of the matter is that the shotgun approach to killing a mosquito is not the way to go about making things right. But, politicians want to act like they're doing something. So this is what they're doing. In many ways, I agree that it could have been refined, but it's not what I think. It's what our elected leaders think. And I'm so grateful that we have elected leaders that we can trust, that we can depend on. And on the line, joining us today, getting ready to cast this vote, and I'm not sure which way, but we'll find out in a moment, is our representative of the 3rd Congressional District here in the city of Philadelphia, longtime public servant. Please make welcome Congressman Dwight Evans. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Hello. How are you?
Man, I'm well. Happy, Merry belated Christmas to you, and Happy New Year to you. And thank you for taking the time out. I know that this is a very busy day for you rather. Can you characterize what is going on in Congress right now about this coronavirus relief package?
Well, we are basically, I thank you for this opportunity, because you're right, we're on the verge of voting, so I share with you, I may have to leave, but I say this.
Yes.
this is extremely significant for people in these neighborhoods, in these communities. There are great needs that people have. This is not over-exaggerated. This is not, somebody trying to get away with something. These people need help, need support. I was for the CARES Act, which was $1,200 and unemployment, and I thought that we needed to do that. I was for this relief package, and I'm glad, certainly, and I don't say this often, that the president came to his senses and that recognized that people have needs. So between us in the House, the Democrats, and I do believe there will be Republicans, I am optimistic that this can pass the House and then it goes to the Senate. But I'm optimistic because of the spirit, being that this is Kwanzaa and this is a very important time, significant of people working together. And I say this to you, I don't take it lightly. We have to have faith and keep in with it. And I stress to you that at this moment, I and other people are doing everything that we can to make this a reality. And that's why I'm here today, to make sure that my voice is added and that I'm added any influence that I can to make this reality. This $2,000 will do an awful lot for people in the 3rd Congressional District, in the city of Philadelphia, in the United States of America. So it is something that we shouldn't take lightly. And, we just had a Democratic caucus simultaneously while all of this is going on, because we was talking about all the activities we had going on. We have this today. We have our swearing-in is on Sunday. We're trying to finish on our swearing-in, and then there's January the 6th, and then there's January the 20th. So you're absolutely right. January 3rd is the beginning of the 117th session of the Congress. So you're right. This has been very fast-moving, but I've enjoyed it. I appreciate people giving me the opportunity. And what I've tried to do, and I've been in this for 4 years, I've tried to be very alert. And in addition to the stimulus, there's the issue about housing, there's the issue about unemployment, there's the issue about small business. All of these things, we didn't create this virus. And the fact of the matter is we are not going to do it by ourselves. So I'm going to borrow something from Vice President Joe Biden, where he says we have to beat the virus first. And then we have to make sure that people, the kinds of needs, we address the needs that we have. So I say to you, and you know me, because you and I were together, Election Day.
Absolutely.
Election
Absolutely.
Day, November the 3rd. I thank
and it turned out well.
That's true. I thank you for your partnership and the radio station, WRD, because we spent that time, we talked about the importance of people voting and it making a difference. Just think that vote has made a difference. That vote has made a difference. And, I want to make sure people know that I thank them. I thank them for voting. I thank them for registering. I thank them for not giving up, is what I said to you. And I said the same to you then. So that's why when Kim called me and I was on my way down here, I had to be with you because, you and I have been together so much.
It's a privilege. It's a real privilege, Congressman. Let me ask a question about, of course, we all know that the president, even if he does the right thing, it's not always for the right reasons. And I know that you never thought you'd see the day where you said, yes, we have to support our president, when that president's name was Donald J. Trump.
You're absolutely right, because remember, I voted for impeachment. I was one of the 58 votes, the first to vote for impeachment.
Yeah.
So I called him when I thought he was wrong. I said that about Senator Toomey. I said the other day, we didn't agree. I applauded him. I put out a tweet about him taking a stand. So Senator Toomey, President Trump, if it's in the interest of my constituents, I will do what I have to do for my constituents.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm here for this.
Let me ask you. Let me ask a question, and I know that this is a somewhat technical question, but we hear about a 900, what is it, a $900 billion?
$900 billion And
Right.
then we're going to expand the stimulus, which was 600. We're going to expand it to 2,000.
Okay.
We're going to expand it to 2,000. And basically, in terms of the details, I'd like to come back on the show and go through all that and get everything you want that they need to know, ask questions, because we have to vote it today, and then it goes to the Senate. And the reason we're here early to do it is because, some senators want to kind of prolong the process, but then we put the onus, because to me, then the onus is on the majority leader of the Senate. It's going to more likely pass in the House. Then we got to get it in the Senate, and then they pass, and then we got work to do. So we're not taking anything for granted because of the needs out there, the needs of individuals, the needs of small businesses, the needs of, remember, we're all in this together. And I want to stress that. I want to stress that is what we're trying to do.
We're speaking with Congressman Dwight Evans, who's about to go to the floor to cast his vote for the stimulus package that has been working its way through Congress for the last several months. The president at one point was fighting it, and then suddenly decides that he wants to go with a higher number. We were looking at some of the numbers and just playing with them. The first act, the CARES Act, which gave $1,200 to citizens, we worked it out. If we gave $1,200 to, let's say there were 200 million adults, which there are not in this country, but we gave $1,200 to 200 million adults, that would only amount to about $240 billion. In a $900 billion package, that's a whole lot of money going to other places. Where is the lion's share of all of this money going to?
Well, I think you raised let me say something to you. The chairman of the Federal Reserve, I thought, had the best line in the world when he said, and he's not a Democrat, he said, let's go big and let's go bold. Let's go big and let's go bold. What was referring about when we first started with the CARES Act, which was $2.2 trillion. So
wow.
There's no question that this is something that we can do, right? Because this is investing in America. This is investing in people who have needs. There's not a question about, this is long overdue. And to be honest with you, as you recall, when we talk about the Marshall Plan regarding Europe after World War II, this is long overdue. We need Marshall Plans for the entire United States. We need Marshall Plans for our neighborhoods, our communities, our infrastructures. I'm not telling you anything because you were in government. You know the needs that we have, schools, streets, highways, construction. You know those needs that we have. So there's no question about it. This is long overdue, and people deserve it. Now, we got there in a strange way. We kind of backdoor. But sometimes you don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
You take advantage of it, and you make the most of it. I mean, nobody would have thought a week ago that we went from discussion about 600 to potentially 2,000 per. So it's long overdue.
Now I know that you are due on the floor momentarily. Is there any chance whatsoever that you'll be able to swing enough votes in the Senate to get Mitch McConnell and his minions to even look with any level of compassion on this idea?
I'm gonna say this to you. You've been shocked. You're a spiritual man and you're a faith leader. I'm gonna leave it in faith hands. You know that. I'm gonna leave it in faith hands. But I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna do my part around this time. And doing my part was being here, adding my voice. I did I communicated presence everywhere I go. Just like taking this call for you and discussing this, because I am an eternal optimist. And coming from you, I've learned that from you. I've learned from you that we must be eternal optimists. And, the late John Lewis once said over and over again, I had the pleasure of serving with him. He said, if you don't think anything changed, just walk in my shoes.
Walk in my shoes.
That's what the late John Lewis said. And you look from where John Lewis started out with that march back in 1963. And this is 20. You know, we get ready to go at the beginning of this next week. We're going to go into a brand new year, a brand new decade. I mean, think about it. You and I have known each other for 35 years.
Yeah.
And you can't say you haven't seen things change.
I agree with that.
Are they where we like them to be? Is everything where we want to be? No, I'll be the first one to say. But you just think you and I talking, the things I'm talking to you about. I'm sitting here in Congress. This is my 4th year. And you think about, you know, built on the shoulders of Robert S. D. Nix, Bill Gray. I mean, I built on their shoulders. Okay? They were here before me. So I share with you that is something that we should not take for granted and take lightly. And I have the pleasure I'm going to definitely vote yes. There's going to be no debate about my vote on this issue. As a matter of fact, the chairman of the committee I'm on, Ways and Means, he's debating it right now. And that's the committee I'm on. So that's why I'm going to be yes. He knows I'm going to be yes.
Yeah,
I'm going to be yes. And look, this is only a temporary stopgap. I'm going to say this. This is only a stopgap because President-elect Biden has committed to another initiative. And I want you to be clear, he is committed to another initiative. So I want to stress. And also you got to look at the Georgia Senate runoff is just in 8 days.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Look, when you raise your question about strange things of the president, look, that Senate race in 8 days is important to understand the significance of that race and what's going on with this. Is that in some way affecting the decision? I would say yes. I tell you, absolutely. But that gets back down to politics, which I stress to be about being registered to vote, participate. So I want to say, especially to my WRD listening audience, you know, you're the only show I've talked to before I'm voting, and I thank you. I thank you for all the attention you have given us and allowed your airways, the WRD, and the Lomax family. I'm proud of what you have done and allowed me to have this conversation.
It's a privilege, sir. We're going to let you get to the floor and do the people's business. As always, we appreciate the fact that you are willing to take time to share with us the particulars of the business that you're doing, and your representation of us does not go unnoticed. We thank you for your service. All the best to you for a good new year, sir.
Thank you, Nick, too. Happy New Year's. Happy Kwanzaa. Again.
Same to you. That's Congressman Dwight Evans of the 3rd Representative District here in the city of Philadelphia, on his way to the floor to cast his vote for the coronavirus stimulus package. I want to thank Kim for helping to make this connection. The staff of Congressman Evans, I mean, they work with such facility and skill. We deeply appreciate it. We'll take a quick break, but before we take that break, we want to remind everybody that today is Ujima. That's the 3rd principal day of Kwanzaa, and it focuses on collective responsibility and encourages us to uplift others as a solution to conflicts. WURD continues to uplift our communities and provide a voice, ensuring that everyone gets heard. And right now, you can join the WURD radio family at a discounted rate of $80 until January the 1st of 2021. Become a member, a forward member, and it will give you access to special events, exclusive digital content, WURD swag, VIP invitations, discounts, and our printed newsletter, WordPress. If you want to know more about it, visit www.wurdradio.com/join for more details. That's www.wurdradio.com/join for more details. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back after these words.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring talent for the following positions. Assembler, preferably 2 to 3 years experience, able to tear down and reassemble all make and model cars. Painter, must have at least 5 years overall painting experience, including experience in water-based paint and able to prep cars for paint jobs. Auto body technician looking for an A or B technician must have at least 5 years experience repairing cars. Please send your resume to JD's Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net. That's JDS Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net, or call 215-848-5949 for more details. JD's Auto Body and Painting is an equal opportunity employer.
This Word Kwanzaa vignette is brought to you by Pico, Keystone Plus, and JD's Auto Body and Painting. Habari Gani from WURD Radio. The 7 days of Kwanzaa are dedicated to the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Today is the 3rd day of Kwanzaa, Ujima, or collective work and responsibility. Let's use today to build community with our neighbors, extended families, and co-workers. If you possess a certain skill set, consider sharing your skills with others. Passing knowledge on gives additional value to your community and strengthens your confidence in the subject. Encourage leadership among young people and lend an attentive, invested ear when they present ideas. For more information about Kwanzaa, visit wordradio.com. This Word Kwanzaa vignette was brought to you by Pico, powering communities, Keystone Plus, and JD's Auto Body and Painting for all your auto body and detailing needs during this holiday season. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
We're jammed on 95 this afternoon from an earlier crash, 95 southbound at Girard. Accident cleared out of the way, but delays are still out there. Going back to the Betsy Ross Bridge, 95 northbound slows, Betsy Ross Bridge to Bridge Street. In Delaware and Wilmington, we've got some delays on 95 between 295 and 141. Back into the city now for the Schuylkill Expressway, where we're jamming up through the construction westbound University Avenue to 30th. The left lane's blocked there till next month. Elsewhere, we are jammed up on 76 westbound City Avenue out to Belmont Avenue. Eastbound, we're a bit stop and go from the Blue Route to Gladwin, also between Montgomery Drive and University Avenue. Report brought to you by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need to start the year right, like home office furniture, the latest tech and organization supplies, all at amazing prices. And now at Staples, 2021 dated desk pads for just $3.99. Offer ends 1/2/21 while supplies last. Get big savings from Staples. For more traffic info, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jason Lee with your Philadelphia area traffic.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for joining us. For those of you who've been with us, thank you for staying with us. For those of you yet to come, what are you waiting for? All right, we'll get to the phone lines in just a moment. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll be checking in with a brother from Atlanta, Georgia, who did the right thing in the face of racism and in the face of an insult to the black community. I'm so looking forward to speaking with him. I hope that you will join me in that conversation as we go to the epicenter right now of black empowerment, black struggle, and that is Atlanta, Georgia. As you know, the pastor of the historic Ebenezer Church, Raphael Warnock, is in a pitched battle for a Senate seat in that state, and I'm telling you, Atlanta is front and center when it comes to empowerment. But first, let's go to the phone lines, and we'll check in with Rick from Germany. Hey, man, sprechen die Deutsch, sir. Welcome to the show.
Because of illness, I don't sprechen so viel Deutsch.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I would like to remind you of two things. First, in August of 2020, the Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman supposedly died of colon cancer, if we choose to believe that. And I would say to the audience, to the young people, please consider what you are eating when you are consuming American meat. Second, I would ask you to remember Dr. Ted Watkins, who's on the air one day a week down in Washington on WPFW, who also treated me when I was poisoned by the CIA with the intestinal parasites. his medical show encourages many to give up meat and become vegetarian and even vegan. And I know many people are not there yet, but I appreciate him and his show and his time given to our community.
Well, now, I must admit, you make some pretty bold claims there when you say that you were poisoned by the CIA.
I didn't bite my tongue, I didn't stutter, and I didn't mutter.
And if I might ask, when you say that you were poisoned by the CIA, what leads you to that conclusion, and what was the motivation behind that activity?
Well, it was to intimidate me. It was not to kill me. It was to intimidate me. What I've been given is what they call a Halloween parasite. It's meant to intimidate. But I've survived 17 years with this worm with the help of this German family. And they are meat eaters themselves. And I, with this worm, crave meat not only once a day, but twice a day, every day, 7 days a week.
Well,
that's terrible.
Well, as a person who has been vegetarian since 1975, I want to thank you for the call. It's an unusual call, and it's a claim that you make, of course, and I cannot dispute it. I don't know you, Rick. I don't know you well enough, but and trust me, the CIA has done enough to make it plausible that something like that could have happened. But as someone who has not, who has given up a meat-based diet, I would be the first to encourage people to take Rick's advice. You know, eat a life where no fish have to fry, no chickens have to die. Although I do eat fish now, so I guess the fish frying is pretty good. And I've got some folks in my church who cook it pretty well. So I must say to you, that's an interesting, very interesting call. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be coming back at 5 o'clock. I've got to tell you, I heard about this story, and I wanted to follow it up. This is a story about a proprietor of an Exxon Mobil convenience store, one of those, ubiquitous stores where you buy your gas and you go inside for your soft drinks and your other sundries. And the store was owned by an individual who worked right in the middle of the black community, the Flat Shoals Road store. And I got to tell you, upon hearing what this man had to say about the black community, I was absolutely shocked that he would even dare to try to do business in the community after speaking so hatefully about it. But instead of doing violence, instead of the community coming and throwing bricks through the windows and Molotov cocktails through the door, they did something that was so progressive and so outstanding that it just deserves the attention of everybody who wants to make a difference in today's society. When we come back, we'll be checking in with the gentleman who led a boycott in Atlanta, Georgia, in that great city, and find out how we can follow after that example. It is now 2 minutes away from the hour of 5 o'clock here in the city of Philadelphia. You're listening to Evening Words on WURD AM 900, 96.1 FM. This is Nick Taliaferro, and I will be back with my guest right after this.
Every day, 47.9 million family caregivers perform labors of love by helping their parents and spouses. Family caregivers help their older loved ones with medications, medical care, meals, bathing, dressing, and much more. While they wouldn't have it any other way, they need some support. AARP has information and online communities to help support caregivers. Learn more at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hey Philly, I'm Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccine for COVID-19 is here. However, now is not the time to let our guard down. As COVID-19 continues to spread, keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, and avoid large get-togethers. It will take time before we all get vaccinated. Until then, keep yourself, your family, and community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread. ahead.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
Word Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with Word. Happy living.
Stay well with Word. Connect with us at wordradio.com. It's the 3rd day of Kwanzaa. Habari Gani. Today's principle is Ujima, or self-determination. So light up the outside green candle on your Kanara and stay tuned. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the Word Radio app, or watch live on Word TV via Facebook and YouTube. Word Radio. Independent Black Media. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at forward. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
2 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock in America's favorite city. I guess that might be disputed by my guest, of course. We're taking you all the way down into the Southland, the capital of African American life and culture in the South. Atlanta, Georgia is where we find ourselves. And my guest in the virtual studio today is a gentleman who did things the right way. Let me introduce you to Joe Jones of Atlanta, Georgia. Joe, thank you for joining us today and welcome to WURD in Philadelphia.
Oh, man, thank you so much for having me, brother.
Joe, look, let me tell you, man, I heard about this story over the weekend, and I read into it. I said, the more I read, the more I applauded, the more I said, I've got to find this man and see if we can get him to talk to our folks here in Philadelphia and around the world. And that is about the boycott that you led in Atlanta, Georgia, concerning an Exxon convenience store. Let me let you set up the story. What happened that led to you and others in your community boycotting the store?
Okay, first of all, this store there, they just have a reputation of, just being nasty. There's not anything that's specific to my hood or, this specific store. A lot of these stores that are, owned by immigrant owners in a lot of cases, in what they consider lower income areas, we're used to this kind of treatment. So a video surfaced of a clerk that worked in the gas station. He was caught on video saying, "I don't give a F about the black neighborhood." So when I saw the video, I went to the store and I was just standing outside of the door and I was just telling people, look, we're not shopping in here. Look, this guy right here. That's him right there. We're not spending our money in there if that's how they feel. So the owner of this establishment, he comes outside and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm showing everybody how y'all feel before we spend our money in here." And he says, "Get the F out of here, you food stamp cockroach."
Whoa! He said what, Joe?
Yeah, he called me a food stamp cockroach. He said, "Get out of here, you food stamp cockroach." And I said, "What did you say to me?" He said, "What you gonna do about it?" So after 66 days of actively boycotting this gas station, he found out, what we would as a community, what we would do about it.
We're speaking with Joe Jones, who, ladies and gentlemen, I respected him before this conversation because of the great work that was done there. But I did not know that he said that to you. He came to you when you were telling people, look, we're not going to patronize a store that insults the community and has no regard for us. And he referred to you out of your name by calling you a food stamp cockroach.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I have to ask you, sir. I mean, I've seen people don't see you, but I've seen images of you in the news and on video. I mean, you look like a man who can handle himself. What is it that led you to be so patient and so forbearing? Because a lot of people at that point might have lost it a little bit and decided to lay hands on the gentleman. So what is it that led you to and I'm trying to be polite, you know what I'm saying, man.
It was definitely a moment where I had to, think fast and make sure that I operated with restraint. Because I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's just another layer to unpack. So obviously this guy is armed. If he's saying something like this to me in my face, I mean, it seems like if you talk to someone like that, you would almost expect a physical altercation. So hypothetically, let's say, I punch him right in his jaw. At that point, he can shoot me, I'm saying, a struggle can ensue, and what's that headline gonna read? Like, out of control man killed by store owner, So we
Joe,
we had to think, and yeah. And obviously, the blueprint for these kind of situations has already been laid, by the ancestors, by the elders, like the Montgomery boycott, and we all should agree that there isn't a black empowerment plan without a black economic piece. So we already have the power, and we just have to use our power and just spend to our community's benefit and stop supporting businesses like this in our neighborhood, because if we don't shop with them, it's simple math. You don't have to be a math major to understand that if they don't make money, they're going to have to leave our neighborhood.
We're speaking with Joe Jones from Atlanta, who's talking about a boycott that was led against an Exxon store where a clerk and then the proprietor himself stated a blatant disregard, not simply a disregard, but a hateful view of the black community that they were supposedly serving. And Joe Jones, in trying to lead a protest, was confronted, but he kept the protest going. How long did that protest last, Joe?
In totality, it was 66 days. On the 66th day, that's when the owner agreed, but I just want to make it a point to express that I had a very, very, very solid team with me. All of my teammates, I had this sister, Dr. Mimi, Dr. Minor. She, she actually drove from Alabama. This is, our neighborhood. This is her home. But she's been living in Alabama. She drove from Alabama to come and stand with me. She saw what I was doing on Instagram. That's where a lot of the updates were posted. She reached out to me and said, bro, I want to help you. I'll be there tomorrow. She showed up, and she didn't leave any other day after that. Alex, Scotty from the Smart Foundation, my guy Spider, like everybody came together. It was more than just our team. It takes an entire community of people to come together. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, we gave out 300 turkeys to our community.
Wow.
The rapper Trouble came out. He was a part of that initiative. We did a lot of community work and at the same time. The Friday before that, we passed out 800 boxes of fresh produce to our community. And, it's just been a real moment. The entire community's come together, like anybody from, single moms to preachers to firemen. Everybody was just standing in support. A lot of people riding by honking horns. So just that community support was, that's what made this possible. As far as supplies, everybody just donated anything we needed. They would, once the weather started to drop, people would bring hand warmers and gloves and coffee and tea. Wow. And, it's just a community effort. So it's just, I just really want to make the point to, express the fact that the secret weapon is the unity, and the secret weapon is us getting together. It's not about one person or a team of people. The secret is that we all have to link up. We got to connect all the dots.
Well, when we think of Atlanta, we think of the nexus of black cooperation and synergy, Martin Luther King, and now Reverend Raphael Warnock and and all that's going on to demonstrate that level of solidarity. The thing that, this is what, man, Joe, this is what I fell in love with. You know, you had the right to be angry, and if you had reacted when he called you a food stamp cockroach, nobody, at least not from my neighborhood, would have been surprised. But you didn't react. You didn't react in that way. You reacted progressively and positively, and instead of tearing down something, you're building up something, because my understanding now is that Exxon and Mobil wants to sell the station to you.
Yeah. This owner, the owner of this station, he has agreed to sell the gas station, and they're going to put it up on the market soon. And I do have an option in that agreement to purchase the gas station. So that's what we're doing right now. We're raising funds. You know, I have a really, really, really great team in place. And, you know, we're prepared to hit a home run, man. We've already made history. You know, it's a historical moment as far as being able to apply, you know, that black economic pressure and, you know, take a stand all legally, all lawfully, and, you know, kick a racist out of your neighborhood, you know. But we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to make this you know, a black-owned spot, man, that's beneficial to the community. You know, maybe put some fresh smoothies in there, you know, for the morning, or some breakfast sandwiches or something like that. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you, man. Look, with the kind of year we've had, it couldn't end any better than this. We're talking to a gentleman. For those of you who are just joining us, Joe Jones is from Atlanta, Georgia. The community, the area is Flat Shoals. And in that area, a racist proprietor and his clerk at one of the convenience stores, an Exxon convenience store, said some disparaging, disrespectful remarks about the black community. Joe Jones and others who were with him led a boycott for over 2 months, and the owner of the store recognized that you cannot insult a community while you're trying to serve them as well. And now the store is up for sale, and the possibility exists that those who led the boycott will take over the store, and the community will have a stake in a store doing business in their community. How can other people become involved in what you do? How can we help you, man? I mean, what can we do to support such a noble effort on your part?
You know, right now we have the GoFundMe. We have a GoFundMe up. If you go to GoFundMe and you look for help us buy a gas station, you know, you'll see the GoFundMe come up, and feel free to donate. Feel free to share that story. I have all of the updates on my Instagram. You can go back to October 10th, where I first encountered, you know, this owner, and when he called me a food stamp cockroach. In the midst of that, you know, we started to, you know, throw different celebrations, get the hood, you know, excited about activism. You know, I brought out DJs, and we just turned it into kind of like a celebration of black economics and black power. But yeah, feel free to donate, and like, please go to the Instagram so you can see, you know, how this started, and, you know, just the entire progression of this situation.
Folks, we often talk about doing something, not just standing there, and not just taking abuse, not tolerating mistreatment, and not supporting those who insult us. And we've got right now an example of a community represented by one person right now, but as he said earlier, it's an entire community and an entire group behind him, who showed exactly how to leverage your green dollars for your black interests, and then to not tear down, but to build up and to take ownership of something. I'm going to open the phone lines at 215-634-8065, because at the very least, you ought to call in and support, congratulate, affirm, applaud, whatever word you want to use, this brother and those who are with him. You ought to call in and offer your affirming comments to him. 215-634-8065. I'm asking you to join me in being supportive, and at least that way. And then we talk about going to the GoFundMe page. And let me make sure I'm getting it right, Joe. Help us to buy a gas station. Is that the GoFundMe page?
Yep, help us buy a gas station.
I mean, Joe said we ain't messing around. We're not going to get fancy with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. We're about to buy a gas station, you know, in our neighborhood, and we're gonna operate it, and you know, it'll create jobs in the area. We'll do more of the same kind of community work that we've been doing, and it's just a positive moment, man. It's just a real great time to just build. And I've met a lot of great resources that have become family during this time. So, like I said, the secret is in everyone just getting together, man. That's the secret weapon is that everyone just has to work together.
Well, the big question comes, because I know you didn't wake up one morning saying, I'm going to go down here and see if the clerk at the store is racist, and then I'm going to protest it, and then I'm going to see if I can buy the station. Somehow or another, the seed for this type of progressive working and this kind of community building had to have been sown a long time ago. What was it that was sown into your life that led you to become the guy who would progressively encounter racism and not get into a fight, but get into a struggle to take over what was trying to oppress you?
It's like they say, he who angers you controls you. And, just having, I guess, just a high level of awareness and just always being a student. You just refer to the Donald Sterling incident. He got caught on tape, saying things he shouldn't be saying, and he lost the whole team. So, it's just logic that these days you have to be held accountable as a brand, as a business. There are just certain laws, and we deserve the same respect that anybody else deserves. I shouldn't have to go to the other side of town to see the same Exxon logo on a fancy building. You know what I mean? With snacks that aren't expired. In a store that doesn't sell these crack kits in a brown bag, fully equipped with a pipe and a Brillo, and illegal gambling machines, and 5 buckets of rainwater sitting around the store on a rainy day. We should be able to walk in our store and it be just as nice. You know what I'm saying? We should get the same level of respect. They should say, "Hi, hey, how are you, sir? Can I help you?" The same way they would treat me across town, they should treat me like that in my neighborhood.
Take me back to that drug paraphernalia. Were those items for sale in that store?
Yeah. This store sells. They call it a kit, and it's basically a brown bag that already has like a stem in it, like a pipe that a crack addict would use, and a Brillo. Everything that an addict would need to get high and smoke crack. It comes in this brown bag, and you pay $5, no tax for this bag. And and like I said, that's not anything specific to my neighborhood. This is sold all across the nation in a lot of convenience stores. So, but that's just the kind of stuff that I have a problem with in my community. We just don't want to contribute or be a part of any of that kind of process. Anything that'll set us back as a people, anything that's not progressive for us and beneficial to us, as a people. We don't need that at our store.
The more I learn, the more amazed I am at this story. It is my understanding that when the clerk realized that you guys were serious and the boycott was working, that he decided that it was time to say, "I'm sorry." And he said okay, I worked for this store for almost 10 years. Please give me one more chance, and I promise I will never make this mistake again. Did you take that apology as being sincere, or...
And what
was your response?
Around like day 7 or 8, we had that conversation. But in this time, and this is a very, very important note to add also, is that during the beginning stages of the boycott, several people from the community started to come to me and say, "Hey, I'm so glad you're doing this. When I was here, this happened to me." So what I did was I got smart. I said, you know what? Let me record them. Let me ask them if they'll record their experience at the store. So I started to interview people in my neighborhood, and I gathered the interviews and I posted those also just to put into perspective that this isn't an isolated incident of racism or even a secondary incident of racism. This is years of abuse in our community. That's what this is.
Wow. Well, Atlanta, for those of us up north, we've always viewed Atlanta as being the most progressive site of black empowerment, going all the way back to Mayor Maynard Jackson, and just looking at Atlanta as an example of how African Americans can coalesce and work together and really produce industries and businesses that serve themselves. Is that how Atlanteans see themselves? Do you obviously, you didn't just complain or go to your congressman. You became active. But is this something that is a traditional part of Atlanta communities?
You know what? Being born and raised an Atlanta native, I think I can say that it has a lot to do with my perspective and a lot to do with the sense of pride and the sense of blackness that I come from. We have a long list of greats that did phenomenal work in our city, from our city. So, it's not uncommon, growing up to see successful black people to have, to be aristocrats and to be the grandsons of business owners. And,
Okay.
it's just a common occurrence. So I can say that probably so. I definitely think being from Atlanta has something to do with how black I am.
Well, man, I got to tell you, we want to follow this story. We want to follow it. We're going to put your Instagram site up. We want to put your GoFundMe page site up. I'm going to make a small contribution myself. I mean, and we would love to see this story come full circle, where the people who had been offended and insulted would become the owners of the store, and where that store can become a beacon of self-determination and pride, man. I mean, once again, if you can tell people how they can catch up with you online and how they can assist you in your GoFundMe efforts.
Okay, perfect. On Instagram, my handle is Scapegoat Jones. That's SCAPE, Goat Jones. And like I said, the link to the GoFundMe is in my bio on Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, please go to the GoFundMe website and search for Help Us Buy a Gas Station. Like I said, no donation is too small. Let's continue to make Black history, y'all. So thankful for you offering your platform, man, and helping us get the word out.
Hey, man, you've inspired my day. Joe Jones, ladies and gentlemen, from Atlanta, Georgia, led a boycott of a convenience gas station store where the clerk had openly insulted the black community with profanity, and then when he came forward, the owner insulted him personally. They launched a boycott, lasted 2 months, and now they're in a position to assume the ownership of this store. The owner is deciding that it's time for him to leave a neighborhood that he doesn't respect. Joe, thank you so much for not only the time you spent with us, but even more importantly, thanks for all that you've done and all that you are, and we want to support you in that. Thanks, my friend.
I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, we'll be in touch, my man. Take care of yourself.
All right. I look forward to it, man. All right, peace.
Hey, folks, we're in touch with Atlanta. I'm telling you, look, now let me just say something to you now that Joe may have gone. Folks, we talk a whole lot of who shot John about, yeah, we got to support stuff. Yeah, we need to let people know, and we need to say something, all that. Here's a brother who did things the right way. And I said, folks, call him up. Call up and congratulate the brother. Call up and affirm him. Call up and just speak a word into his ear. And I got crickets. I got nobody. I don't understand that. I'm going to quit. No, I'm not. But I feel like I can't believe that y'all didn't call up and tell this man how much you appreciated his activism. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do a little bit more talk. Some of you need to call and tell me why you didn't call. I just wants to know. All right, folks, Nick Taliaferro here with you. This is Evening Words on WURD 900 AM, 96.1 FM. We'll be coming back to continue our conversation. We still got to reach out to Nashville, find out what's going on that side of the world. But until then, you and I will be getting together. Stay with us.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
Word Family. Join Brother Shamari for a deep dive into the Kwanzaa season, focusing on the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Sunday, December 27th from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday and Tuesday from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. Then on Friday, January 1st from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. All week, our programs will feature conscientious contemplation, insightful inspiration, and various guests who will provide spoken word, drumming, music, affirmations, meditations, storytelling, testimony, and fellowship. That's Brother Shamari, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Jam conditions on the Schuylkill Expressway tonight. It's eastbound between 476 to Blue Route and Gladwin. And then we're a bit stop and go further eastbound Montgomery Drive all the way out to University Avenue. Meantime, westbound we back up pretty heavy through that construction zone, University Avenue to 30th. We're down to one lane with the left lane blocked until next month. Further westbound, stop and go traffic between Gladwin and Conchie. Bryant Expressway is heavy almost the entire stretch on the westbound side from 8th down to the Schuylkill. We've got some slow going through the construction zone on the boulevard southbound between Roberts Avenue and Fox Street. 95 southbound jams through that construction, Cotman to Bridge. Report is brought to you by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need to start the year right with amazing prices on great tech. Now at Staples PC clearance event, save up to $180 on select Lenovo PCs like the Flex 2-in-1 laptop with Intel i5 processor. Offer ends 1/2/21 while supplies last at Staples. For more traffic info, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Jason Lee with your Philadelphia.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
The word on the street has reached me that I need to do some apologizing, that there are people who actually did call, but I reserve my apology until I hear it from you yourselves. 215-634-8065. I'm so proud of those folks down in Atlanta. I mean, because let me tell you, in my day, what we would have done, we'd have thrown a brick through the guy's window, and then later on, after he fixed that window, we'd have thrown a brick through the other window, and after he fixed that window, then we'd have gone on and torched the store. And then we would have watched it burn and said, yeah, and that's what you get for talking bad about our community. But that's not what you do. What you do is you organize, you structure, and then you act progressively to teach yourselves and others how you ought to be treated and to assume leadership. Look, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of what I saw with that boycott in Atlanta that drove a racist owner out of a store, and now that store is going to be in the hands of people who know how to respect their own community. Let's get to the phone lines now and do some conversing with the greatest listeners and talkers to be found anywhere near a radio station, right here on WURD AM 900, 96.1 FM. Lines are open at 215-634-8065. We'll be jumping over to Nashville, hopefully in the 6 o'clock hour, or a little bit later, maybe even in this hour, to talk about the bombing that took place there. But first up, Lynn in Darby on line 2. Lynn, thank you for your call, and welcome to the program.
Hey, Nick. Happy 4th day of Christmas and 3rd day of Kwanzaa.
Well, thank you, Lynn. I appreciate it, and the same to you.
Thank you. Me and my daughter, we are recovering from COVID. Oh, that is so evil.
What were your symptoms? I mean, what did you go through?
Oh, I'm going to try to be nice because I told my neighbor, 6 feet, 6 feet. Nick, now, being as though I'm getting close to 60, my daughter, she's 23. She had that violent throwing up and coughing. So when I was taking care of her, I got diarrhea for a week. Man. It came to the point where I couldn't make it to the bathroom. And after a week, I called the ambulance because I was so weak I couldn't keep nothing on my stomach or anything.
You were
so
dehydrated.
I was in that house, yes, dehydrated to the 12th power. So I was in that hospital for a week, and they gave me what they gave President Trump. And that stuff, I mean, about 3 times a day for a whole week. And that stuff made me so dehydrated. I don't care what. I drank. I was just so dehydrated. But God has brought me through. They did and my family and my
well,
friends.
then I testify, sister. I am grateful for your life.
Nick, I am so blessed. I am so blessed because I haven't been in the hospital since I had my 23-year-old daughter. You know, I'm just not a hospital chick. And this is no time to go to the hospital, but because they are overwhelmed, but they did save my life. I have to give it to them. They did save my life.
Yeah,
and
well, you got the good stuff there. Because what they gave to the president, they don't give to everybody.
Yeah, but why did it take me a whole week? And he just bounced out of bed in a one day. But anyway, that stuff, it wasn't very kind to me, Nick. It wasn't very kind because the symptoms I got when I got home downstairs, it just made everything, and I hope I'm not getting too graphic, but it just made everything so raw. And I left the hospital because they wanted to keep me because they said my oxygen levels weren't up to par.
Right,
but I have 2 doctors in the family, and they said it was cool. So they sent me home with oxygen, and I'm doing so much better.
I am grateful. I am grateful for your life. But you called to offer some other thoughts there, and let's get to that too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. What you said?
No, I said you called to offer some other thoughts.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask about the corona thing. But yes. So what else is on your mind, my sister?
But me and my daughter just came in the house from putting out a week's full of trash, and then I had you on, and then I heard him, and I called up, but he had left. But I so admire him. This is what kind of people we need. We need those Martin Luther King kind of marchers and dedicated people to get what we want. We can get our. You had a program on where they burnt down another little town I never heard of. Besides
the Ocoee. Ocoee, Florida. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Besides getting along with everybody else, we gotta stay steadfast and strong and get our own way. That program they have with Reverend Leon Sullivan with the minister, where you get $10 a week. We got to start being dedicated and doing stuff like that. Nick, look, a major department store made me mad 20 years ago. I haven't set foot in it. Another store around my neighborhood, I was running down the stairs to give the trash man something for Christmas, and I fell down the steps and hit my head on the coffee table, and I was blacked out for 5 hours. I went to the store because I knew the bus people were letting my daughter off. She was 3. And the proprietor of that store, he just fussed me out. I couldn't even tell him what happened. But when I told him what happened, guess what, Nick?
What?
I ain't been there in 20 years. And I told my neighbors why. But I'm just like that brother from Georgia. I will boycott you to death. I've been working for the government over 30 years. I'm retired now. Oh, I love retirement. But, honey, child, you ain't getting my money if you don't do right by me.
Well, Lynn, I appreciate the call, and I want to thank you. I'm grateful for your life, for surviving coronavirus, and I'm grateful that when you knocked yourself out, it was only for 5 hours. But thank you for that spirited testimony to self-determination, and all my best to your daughter as well. Let's go to Alanian in Nicetown. Alanian, thank you for your patience, and welcome to the conversation here on Evening Words.
You are being given. You're welcome. I want to talk about that brother from Georgia.
Yes, sir.
I don't know much. Well, let me stop. I started to say I don't know much about Georgia. I've been there a few times. I know Atlanta is very well saturated with train tracks and projects.
Okay.
And black folks. I'm glad I like his action. I have been a victim of being accused of every crime you can think of in a convenience store. People think I'm the thief when they see me. A lot of times they are just rude. And I like the brother's actions. And I don't know, I'm an old head. I don't know nothing or almost nothing about Zoom, tweet, Instagram, Twitter. I'd like to know how can I phone call him and have some kind of monthly fund him, not only from me, but anybody, to just make sure that business survives. It survives folks of my color trying to steal from him. It survives police trying to get paid off or whatever. I want him to do it well. And I like to open
I
up
mean,
the door.
that, first of all, that is so encouraging. I mean, we're talking about, and folks, you know, a lot of times we don't do things because we can't give $1 million, we can't give $100,000. We're talking about $5, $10. Look, if it's just $1, the idea is just to express support and to let people know that they're not in the fight alone. Now, what I'm going to advise you to do, Alaniyan, is because the way things work today, somebody's got to help you get online. Do you have a grandchild or a younger family member or somebody that you can get to work with you? What's that?
I said, who's smarter than me, right?
No, it's not smarter.
They're electronically motivated.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just it's the way the world has gone. I mean, look, our grandfathers would have never tried to use a microwave, but you know, we use it all the time now. But if you can get a younger person, write this down. The name of the program is, now you can go on Instagram, and his name is Scapegoat Joe, I believe it is.
SCATE Goat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the way to contribute, if you want to contribute, it's called, the name of the site, just any young person in your family will know this. It's called GoFundMe. That's the name that is the name of the site that you have to go to. And the name of his project is Help Us to Buy a Gas Station. Help Us Buy a Gas Station. And you know, just talk to any young person or anybody who's just slightly computer savvy and say, look, I want to give 10, 15, 20, whatever it is you want to give. $100.
And how much does it cost to buy a gas station, roughly?
Now, that part I don't know. What happens is, you know, this gas station in question is ExxonMobil is the company that oversees, that holds the franchise. And then, beg pardon?
I'll call them.
Call them.
They want some publicity. Yeah.
Yeah, call them and tell them that you heard about it on our station and that you want to find out more about the attempt to buy the Flat Shoals Road gas station. Flat Shoals Road.
Right.
That's the gas station.
Yeah, and I might want to open up one in Philly.
Hey, well, look, you know, there's no end to things that can be done. I mean, we got some other stuff that we need to make sure that a lot of these people trying to hit people in the head and take their gas station money are kind of corralled also. We've got a lot of stuff to do on this end. But we want to help. I mean, people are watching this story. I mean, I got this story not because somebody from Atlanta called and told me about it. It was in the news. People are watching the story, and they're going to be watching what happens when this gas station changes hands. They're going to watch to see whether the community will support it. We want to make sure that as they're watching it, what they see is a story of success. Cool?
That's right. And I'm going to send some of my successful money, well, not successful, but some of my dollars. You know, I don't need them all, so I'm going to send them to Atlanta.
Well, hey, look,
what last night said on that midnight train to Georgia? All right, brother.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, you old soul brother, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to Bobby in Southwest Philadelphia. Olaniyan, thank you for that supportive statement. Bobby in Southwest Philadelphia, you're up next. This is Evening Words. I'm Nick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. First thing I want to say is that we, as a people, need to slow down, calling the station, complaining and talking about other people and what they're not doing in positions. And we need to get ourselves together and get a leadership, support that leadership. I was thinking a few days ago, what value can I do? What can I do? And what I thought about is I'm going back to school to learn to be a lobbyist because we need us to be able to go and lobby for our community, for our people, and for the righteousness that we should deserve. I thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome, Bobby. Being a lobbyist, you know, look, you can go to school, but you can learn that from people who are doing it. My nephew is a lobbyist. It's according what kind of lobby you want to do. And basically, a lobbyist is a person who trades in influence. It's a good thing to do, but you can learn that, you know, by shoe leather. So You know, be careful how much you spend on that when you can learn that in several different ways. But good luck to you, Bobby. I appreciate the fact that you've got that spunk, that willingness to reinvest not only in your own life, but in the community that you love and support. 215-634-8065 is the number. Let's go to Nabila in Cherry Hill. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us from across the river.
Yes, Baba Nick.
Oh, man, that's the first time I've ever been called a Baba. I feel like I've matured.
That's what you are.
Thank you so much, Nabila.
Been to your lovely church for Brother Wesley Wilson Bay's father and mother's funeral.
Yeah,
So,
you know, Wesley Bay that's my dude right there.
That's right. That's my main man.
Yes,
I listened to your program. I really didn't notice or hear you say for us to call in to talk to the young man from Georgia. However, I did hear the question that you asked, what's his name, Congressman Evans? He never answered you. You said it's a small portion of that money going to the people.
You noticed that, huh?
Yeah. Where is all the rest of it going? He never answered you. He's so good at that I think it's some kind of medical term for that. I don't know what it is. But no, man, not just with you. Whoever asks him a question, he don't want to answer. Like, I'm trying to find out how did they're saying that supposedly he and Street or somebody, they turned the school district over to the state. I'm still trying to find the true answer to that. How did that happen? How did our school district get turned over to the state?
Well, that part I can actually help you with a little bit.
Please.
What happened with the school district, and then we'll come back to Congressman Evans. What happened with the school district is that the state is responsible for funding the schools. The state was not doing its job. The idea was that the state, at one point, I remember this very well, the state decided to simply turn over the school district to private educational companies. Was Edison one of them? I'm not sure. But they were going to turn it over to private companies that would then basically farm all of the schools out to different charters. And at that point, Mayor Street went down to the school district and said, I'm going to operate the mayor's office out of this area because you will not turn this school district over to privateers. And from that point forward, it became a real battle. And this is what the mayor did. He said, okay, it's not that we turned the school district over to the state. We simply said we will form, they formed a committee, a council, as it were, what was it called? The SRC, the School Reform Commission, it was called, consisting of a majority of folks from the state and some from the city, forcing the state to then pay their part, their rightful part of the educational system. So it was a joint effort between the city and the state to run the school system for the city of Philadelphia. It wasn't given to the state. It was a way of forcing their hand to make them pay for it. Now, since that time, the current mayor, Mayor Kinney, has gotten the school district back, and we now have a city-run school board again. But he didn't get any extra money from the state. And so my understanding is that when they broke up the School Reform Commission, got the school district back without asking for any money, that the Republican legislators in the state stood up and clapped like trained seals that they got out of this deal of having to run this, having to pay for the schools. So we're in a position. Now that's that. Now back to Congressman Evans. I really think, I'm not sure if he even heard the question, but here's the real deal.
He heard it.
Go easy, go easy. He's one of the public servants that I have high regard for. But here's the deal. Most people don't know where that money is going. We had a show on last week that demonstrated that the lion's share of the money in both of these so-called relief packages, they're going to businesses, they're going to people who don't need the money, and what they do is the flagship is we're going to send each one of you $600, and we jump up and down and celebrate for $600, and that's only maybe one-fifth of the package. The rest of it is going to businesses and all other sorts of people out there.
Okay, thank you.
Anytime, my good sister, and thank you for taking the time. All right, folks, it's now, I'm a little bit behind on the break, and I'm surprised that Eric Nixon hasn't jumped through the phone and tried to strangle me, which he does at great intervals. I'm telling you, folks, what he does to me is against the law, and some of you ought to call the cops. But so that you don't have to do it now, I'll take the break, and then we'll be coming back to continue our conversation with the greatest listeners and talkers to be found anywhere on the radio here on WURD AM 900, 96.1 FM. This is Nick Taliaferro, and you're listening to Evening Words, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Councilman Bobby Heenan. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccination for COVID-19 is coming, but it's going to take some time before we are all vaccinated. So do not let your guard down. We all know someone who got sick with COVID-19. So keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, avoid large get-togethers, keep yourself, your family, and your community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread.
Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This WURD Kwanzaa vignette is brought to you by Pico, Keystone Plus, and JD's Auto Body and Painting. Habari Gani from WURD Radio. The 7 days of Kwanzaa are dedicated to the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Today is the 3rd day of Kwanzaa, Ujima, or collective work and responsibility. Let's use today to build community with our neighbors, extended families, and co-workers. If you possess a certain skill set, consider sharing your skills with others. Passing knowledge on gives additional value to your community and strengthens your confidence in the subject. Encourage leadership among young people and lend an attentive, invested ear when they present ideas. For more information about Kwanzaa, visit wordradio.com. This WURD Kwanzaa vignette was brought to you by Pico, powering communities, Keystone Plus, and JD's Auto Body and Painting for all your auto body and detailing needs during this holiday season. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Watching a crash on 95 in Delco tonight. It's 95 southbound at 420. Right now we got the left lane blocked, and it's pretty stacked up. Delay goes back to about Bartram Avenue. We'll keep our eyes on that. Also 95 through the city, backing up through the construction zone between Cotman Avenue and Bridge Street. That's where we go from 4 lanes down to 3 lanes, so we're seeing some jammed up traffic there. 76 backs up through the construction zone westbound University Avenue to 30th, and then more delays on the Schuylkill eastbound, where we're heavy from 476 the Blue Route to Gladwin. Also stop and go Montgomery Drive out to the Vine. The Vine backs up westbound between 8th and the Schuylkill. That's on the westbound side. Eastbound we back up between the Schuylkill and Broad Street. Report brought to you by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need to start the year right, like home office furniture, the latest tech, and organization supplies, all at amazing prices. And now at Staples, 2021 dated desk pads are just $3.99. Offer ends 1/2/21 while supplies last. Get big savings from Staples. And for more traffic info, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jason Lee with your Philadelphia area traffic.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Hey, we're back with you, folks. Glad that you can join us here on Evening Words. Real pleasure to have you on board. This is it. The sand is about to run out of the hourglass on 2020, and I, for one, am glad to see it go. This has been the most challenging of years. Look, the only time I remember a year being this challenging, I believe, was 1968 or 68, 69, 68. where you had all sorts of the rioting that took place in the city after the assassination of Martin Luther King, and I mean, just an extremely difficult year. The Vietnam War was leading to all sorts of madness. The shooting of the students at Ohio State, it was just, I mean, some people didn't think we'd get through that year. That was a very, very difficult year. But 2020 has to be a little worse than that, because back then you didn't have a pandemic. You know, can you think back? I remember in March, the second week of March, we were thinking about church. They were talking about the fact that people were beginning to contract the disease, and people were dying, and it was starting to become so prevalent that we began to recognize that, hey, this thing is worse than we thought it would be. And all of a sudden, I remember seeing people wearing masks and all of that stuff in other countries. But in my mind, that's what you did in third world countries. That's what you did in places that weren't as sophisticated as we were. And we started saying, what are we going to do? You know, people were coming to church, but folks were actually beginning to sense a palpable fear in the air. Church is a place where, I mean, you all remember, and I told folks this years ago, people don't like folks be telling you, everybody get up and hug somebody. I don't like hugging people I don't know. Neither do you. And folks would get up and hugging each other, and some folks don't seem to understand what a holy kiss or a holy hug is. And we're saying, how are we going to do church? What are we going to do? And we stopped doing the hugging and all that. And finally, I remember the second week of March, we said, you know, look, we need to stand down. We can't have service as we had it. And just like that, the pandemic was on us. It was like a flash flood. It seemed to come out of nowhere. We had been watching it make its deadly progression from China and then across the ocean. We thought we were safe because it was on the other side of the world. And then it came to Washington State, and then we heard a few cases in Oregon, a couple of cases in California, but those are all of the crazy people out west, we thought. And it'll never make its way over the Rockies, but it came over the Rockies. And before you knew it, it was in New York on a mission, as it were. And then it started seeping down into New Jersey. And then we heard about the first cases in Philly. And before you knew it, the 2 or 3 weeks that we thought we would be out of church, out of worship, those 2 or 3 weeks expanded into 2 or 3 months. And then we started meeting, and as ministers, we started meeting and saying, well, this will probably go on. You know, looking at it like this, man, we're going to be into this thing all the way up until June. And somebody said, no, it won't be to June. I mean, after all, look, you know, a couple of weeks it'll be over. No, it's going to be all the way to June. And then people started talking about, well, maybe it'll be after school is out. And then we started talking about after July the 4th. And now we don't know when this is going to end. But this year has beaten us up. We are distressed. We are downtrodden. We are afflicted, but we are not conquered. We are not conquered. We are still a triumphant people. We still have a sense of empowerment, even in the midst of all of the deaths, the 300,000 deaths that we have encountered in this country. 300,000. Think about it, folks. 300,000 graves that have been opened and filled with the bodies of loved ones. All of the empty places at tables. We've gone through it. This has been an extraordinarily difficult year. WURD has been touched in a significant way. This program has been touched in a significant way, but we are not defeated. That's what I appreciate about us. I appreciate about and I'm going to say the American spirit, and then I'm going to underline the African American spirit. What we've gone through in this country, and the things we've endured, and how we come out of it. And I'm looking forward to 2021 because even though we have been beaten up badly, we've been on the ropes, we've been down for what appeared to be the count, but now the year is about to say goodbye, and we're about to face 2021. It is my hope and my belief that 2021 has to be better than 2020. We'll take some calls on that when we get to the other side of the break. It's got to be better than 2020. I'm thinking of our churches. When will our churches begin to reconvene? I drove by my friend Dave Brown's church today, the Wharton Wesley Methodist Church down at 54th. I believe it's 54th and Catherine, I think it is. But, I mean, beautiful people. I mean, you're talking about salt of the earth people. Beautiful church, you know, and the old architectural style of gray stone. And the people are just as stolid and just as steady and just as foundational as the building itself. And I asked myself, I looked at the building, like all of the other church buildings, and I said, when will people be in them again? Will people come back to churches the way they used to? I sense that when the time comes and we feel free again, that the stores will be brimming and the restaurants will be bustling and people will look forward to finding their way out, to just be out again. But I'm not sure about the church part. I'm sensing that people have gotten used to taking their sermons while they've got their feet up in their fluffy slippers and they're eating, you know, their breakfast with their robe wrapped around them, saying amen to the preacher on the screen, and just enjoying the fact that they can be with their family and their friends. I'm not sure we will go back to normal. I think we're going to end up creating a new normal, and nobody knows what that's going to look like. Hey, folks, want to remind everybody again that on this third day of Kwanzaa, that there's still gifts to be purchased. There's still people that you love who are wondering what you're going to do to make that love something that is memorable in a temporal, material way. Well, if you want to get a one-of-a-kind, a unique gift that reflects your unique love for your special someone, we've got you covered by asking you to simply check us out at our virtual holiday marketplace online. You can support locally owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, small privately owned businesses online at our virtual marketplace. Great prices, great products with people that you can get in touch with. How wonderful it is to shop with people that you can actually touch and see and know. Check out some of the unique gifts that you will find only on the virtual marketplace online. And if you want some of those special one-of-a-kind gifts, it's not too late. Just go to wordradio.com/marketplace or to wordworks.com/marketplace. That's wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace, and find yourself a one-of-a-kind gift for that one-of-a-kind person in your life. That's our virtual holiday marketplace online. It's now just about 2.5 minutes away from the hour of 6. We'll be back after these words.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility, leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. It's the third day of Kwanzaa. Habari Gani. Today's principle is Ujima, so light up the outside green candle on your Kanara and stay tuned. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio, independent Black Media. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Final hour of Evening Words here. Coming along at 7 o'clock, you check in with Sarita Martin. Sincerely, Sarita. How else could it be? She's nothing but sincere. She asks that you save a little bit of space for her. Save space for Sincerely, Sarita. That's the name of the program, Save Space. And there's always just enough room left for her to fill those corners in your appetite for the news stories of the day, to get you talking about things that really matter in your life. At 9 o'clock, we check in with Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Al, coming your way and asking you to keep it real, because he's certainly going to do that from his end. Keep your dial set. Always at 96.1, 900 AM 900 AM FM. Boy, I've got a real good stereo station here. 900 AM for the best in two-way talk to be found anywhere near a radio. All right, in this final hour of the program, we were trying to catch up with our friends in Nashville. One of our friends in Nashville can't talk to us because when the bomb blew up, it blew up in an area that then disrupted telecommunications for individuals who were on AT&T. Can't get to them. So they tried to connect us to Dr. Imani of Fisk University. We were going to get her, could not catch up with her. We're having some difficulty reaching our Nashville people. I remember yesterday I was looking at the story of this bomb, and I had just said to someone last week that because of the pandemic and because of the way the world has gone recently, if you've noticed, there has been a cessation of terrorist activity. We hadn't heard so much about terrorism. I said, but I will tell you, if I know the nature of terrorists, they will find a way to make themselves known. And then this bomb exploded, and the first thought was it terrorist or was it not? Now, one of the problems that we're having is sometimes we don't know how to label terrorism. Is terrorism when somebody outside of your family does it? I mean, for example, if you're in the house and a fight breaks out, do you call it an attack or do you call it a family squabble? If it's somebody in the house attacking, then it's just a family thing. Somebody comes in from outside, then you give it another title. And many people feel that way about terrorists, but I don't. I think that terrorism is anytime a person uses violence and or force for the purpose of some ideology to disturb the equilibrium and the peace of others who might not agree with that ideology. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's about, picking flowers. If you don't like to pick flowers, and I do like to pick flowers, and I throw acid on your dog to destabilize you in your no flower picking mode, then I have become a terrorist, although a relatively effete one. Well, when this bomb blew up, the first thought was terrorism, and then the second thought was homegrown or foreign terrorism. Well, you're talking about Nashville, Tennessee, in the heartland of the Americas. You're talking about a town that is folksy and homey, even though it is a big city. Nashville's a big city. And your first thought is homegrown. And the next thing is homegrown based on a political ideology. Is it some of Trump's people who feel that, dadgummit, they took our president out on fire, and we mad as wet hens, and now we're going to blow up something? Or was it some type of sociological ideology? We can't stand these people. And the first thing you think about is white supremacists who would try to find a way to create a disturbance. Now, yesterday, as I was reading the news, what I saw, and you know, those who were watching it with me will bear me out, the first image I saw of the person who is being considered as the chief suspect in this bombing there was a picture of a black man. And I remember thinking to myself, now that's news. I certainly didn't expect that, because let's face it, folks, whenever you see these grand gestures this way, you know, typically it is related to people from the dominant race of the country. And there was a picture of a black man, and I said to someone, this really shocked me. I didn't think that for some reason or another, I just didn't think that it would be a black person who would be doing this. And it really got me. I had to tell you, I had to be shocked. Now, the name of the person who was supposedly the bomber in the Nashville case, and as it's always the case, whenever somebody does something nefarious, you got to have three names. It doesn't matter who you are. You always have three names. And I'm looking now for the name of the person. Quinn. Let me make sure I get that name straight for you. The name of the person is it Paul Quinn? And just like that, it's right on my screen. Anthony Quinn Warner is his name. Anthony Quinn Warner. Just like that. So on the screen, then it disappears. Anthony Quinn Warner is the person. And so people have started looking for the ideology. What would cause a person to do this? They said they found human remains, but only 3 people had been injured on the outside. They said that the recreation vehicle, the little camper, the mobile camper, had a tape playing, telling people to back away, to get away from it. And it was parked there at a time when there would not be a lot of people around, and loudly playing the music of Petula Clark downtown. And somehow or another, it appears to have been aimed at the AT&T building. And somehow or another, it is associated with this man, Anthony Quinn Warner. He was an IT contractor. He would take jobs for companies doing information technology work. He somehow or another believed that the 5G telecommunication system was, I don't know, spying on him or something like this. It's more of it seems to be a conspiracy theorist who kind of just went amok, but there it is. Now, along with that, in Haiti, a gentleman who is the leader of a denominational administrative body, and I know it well because it's a Seventh-day Adventist denominational body, the Interdenominational Division, the Inter-American Division, was taken hostage by a group of kidnappers in Haiti and is being held against his will for a ransom, some people are saying, of as much as $5 million. So it appears that the spirit of violence and terrorism is arousing itself again. It appears that way. And I am wondering if we will be seeing more of these ugly things happening as we go forward. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, that we have to live with this thing. We have to find ways to address it, to encounter it. And I'm grateful to have on the line someone from Nashville who can give us at least some insight on the ground there. A proud graduate of an HBCU, Fisk University and Howard University. She serves as the assistant dean at Fisk University and is an adjunct professor of history. Please make welcome Dr. Jocelyn Imani. Dr. Imani, it's a pleasure to have you here with us at WURD in Philadelphia.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay. The big question, though, is you being over there. How are you?
I'm doing well. A lot of Nashvillians are pretty tired. This has been a fairly exhausting year for us. But thankfully, we're a city. One of the hashtags is Nashville Strong, and we're very, proud, strong city. So we're making it. We're doing all right.
I have not been to Nashville in probably 30 years, but what I remember about Nashville is that it has an easygoing spirit that seems to run consistently along like an old river. It just keeps on flowing, and rarely do the feathers get ruffled. So I imagine this past weekend when that bomb erupted, it ruffled a few feathers. What's been the response from the local citizenry in Nashville?
Well, it's been marked. The date of, there was kind of shock and disbelief. I know some folks who felt the rumbles and the blasts and others who found out, like myself, when I began to get contacted from folks around the country asking if I was okay. And because it happened on Christmas morning, it was just very shocking. Now, for context, and I don't know if you had already discussed this, so we had a pretty massive tornado that destroyed a couple of neighborhoods in the city back in March.
That's right. I forgot about the Nashville tornadoes. Yeah.
And it happened just 1 week before the whole country went on lockdown from the virus. So we had the tornado happened, and I remember we went to church that weekend, and a lot of churches were doing, so the tornado happened on a Tuesday. We went to church that weekend, and for a lot of churches, that was the last week we met, because then right after that, everything locked down, and we were doing community service and everything to help with tornado repair. So a lot of folks are still, we're still reeling from the tornado, and across the city, you can still see damage from the tornado that hasn't yet been repaired. Then once COVID hit, if you look in probably the last couple of weeks, Tennessee is one of the highest, if not the highest, transmission rates in the country. And where we are, Davidson County is one of the higher numbers. So COVID has been ravaging our communities. And then when you think, okay, we're going to take a break, it's Christmas, here's a bombing. People are really tired. But you're correct in that it is a town where we are we're very collaborative, we're very family-oriented. And in fact, actually this year marked 10 years from a very devastating flood that we had here in Nashville that, folks were still in deep trauma from, still remembering, still thinking about all these things. So all these occurrences back to back to back, it's been quite a bit. But thankfully, we're the type of town where folks will look after each other, will do for each other. In fact, when the flood happened 10 years ago, it didn't even make national news immediately because so many Nashvillians were just helping each other. The tornado made news, but then not for long. And then now this, and I can say that many of us are thankful because the area where the explosion happened is pretty commercial, and nobody was really down there at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple folks who were nearby who, were taken and treated for injuries, but nobody was killed. I mean, there was definitely significant property loss, significant damage to vehicles and stuff like that, but thankfully there was no loss of life, unlike the tornado where we lost 22 Tennesseans back in March.
Wow, I did not realize that the death toll was that high from the tornadoes. Let me introduce you again. We're speaking with Dr. Jocelyn Imani of Fisk University. And Fisk University, and people don't realize this, that right in the heart of Nashville is this historically black university. Fisk is not too far from the downtown scene where this bomb went off. And so I imagine... Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dr. Imani.
Probably about 2 miles away.
Yeah, from where in my neck of the woods, 2 miles ain't that far. I mean, it's. I mean, you're close enough to it to at least be able to say, hey, we're there. But let's just go back and talk a little bit about Fisk, because this historically black university, many people forget about the glory of Fisk in the days gone by. There was a time when Fisk was right on the edge of not even existing, and it has really come back strong. Tell us more about your institution there.
Well, we are a very proud, very strong, historically black university that's private, located, like you said, here in the heart of the city. We just celebrated, it's 2020. So we were founded in 1866, so over 150 years of educating the nation's best and brightest. We're growing. We're still fairly small. I mean, enrollment, I think last term was about 920 maybe. The numbers might be off, but just over 900 students. So we're pretty small, pretty intimate, but still turning out top-notch graduates across both the natural and the social sciences, as well as in the creative and performing arts.
Got you. Now, skipping back now to downtown, I know that you have been monitoring the news about this gentleman, Anthony Quinn Warner, I believe his name is, and it appears that he targeted the AT&T building in downtown Nashville. My understanding is that has knocked out a significant bit of the telecommunications for Nashvillians. Have you been impacted? Has anybody that you know been impacted?
Yes. So thankfully, I was not impacted, but indeed, folks I know were impacted. In fact, on Friday, the news was airing alternate numbers for emergency services because the 911 systems in Mount Juliet, which is a town right next to Nashville, in one of the counties in southern Kentucky, as well as in Williamson County, which is one of the neighboring counties, the 911 systems were knocked off, so they were providing alternate emergency services numbers. Even just today, there was a funeral service for one of our local leaders, Brother Kwame Leo Lillard, who passed from COVID actually last week, and he is responsible for helping to bring Kwanzaa to Nashville. By the way, happy Kwanzaa. He's also responsible for bringing the African Street Festival and a lot of really significant cultural work here on the ground in Nashville. And his services were today, and they were supposed to be able to be streamed live, but the church had AT&T service. It's downtown, First Baptist Capitol Hill downtown, and so the streaming was impacted. I mean, so we're still seeing stuff like that, happening in the days, in the coming days. Folks are still without phone service and still trying to figure it out. So yeah, it's pretty significant. Thankfully, they're rushing to try to fix it some kind of way. But, the phone company has plans for outages, but not quite for a bombing. So I think everybody's pretty understanding that it might take a little minute. And like I said, we're Nashville strong, so we're figuring it out.
Nashville strong, she says. Dr. Jocelyn Imani is with us from Fisk University. I imagine that the school is in shutdown mode, as you were saying. The coronavirus has had its impact all across the country. So students are not on the campus now. Am I correct with that?
No. So this semester, in order to accommodate, safety protocols, we did a hybrid semester where the freshmen came residential for the first 7 weeks of the term, and the upperclassmen came for the second 7 weeks of the term. We started the term earlier, so that way we ended before Thanksgiving. So when students were dismissed for the Thanksgiving break, that was the end of the term completely. We had a December semester and a January semester that were completely online, and students will not be returning to the campus until like the last weekend in January.
Okay.
So the students have been gone. The campus is clear, and so we're all safe down here. And thankfully, nothing got impacted either. We're outside of the radius of impact for the explosion, and thankfully, also back in the tornado in March, we were spared as well.
Well, God's looking over Fisk University, of course, like the old wings over Jordan. He's keeping his arms wrapped around Fisk University. Nashville is known as Music City, and one of the things that Nashville does so very well is to find ways to sing itself past all of its challenges and all of its difficulties. Any of the music sites get impacted by the explosion downtown?
Yes, they did. B.B. King's is down there. So, and we are still finding out details about exactly what all was damaged, how much. So, and I actually used to work on the street where the explosion is, so I know those venues very well. But Wild Horse Saloon is there, B.B. King's is there, and I think there's one more that I can't think of the name, but I can see where it is in my mind. Those are right on that block, and I saw those on lists that kind of floated of businesses that have been impacted. But the comprehensive list hasn't been circulated yet, so we'll probably hear of more venues that are impacted. Because that is right. It was the explosion was right in front of the AT&T building, but the Strip, 2nd Avenue, is part of our main downtown corridor. So to give you an equivalent in Philly, it's like Broad Street. It's right in the heart of that.
Okay.
So yeah, there's quite a few venues that have been impacted, as well as restaurants and bars as well.
I didn't know you knew about Philly like that kind of way.
I got love for Philly. I've come across some really beautiful people, and I had great experiences in Philly.
Wow. Well, look, we like you even more now. Folks, her name is Dr. Jocelyn Imani. She's the assistant dean at Fisk University and an adjunct professor of history there. Nashville is a beautiful city. A river runs through it. The Cumberland River just winds its way peacefully through that city. That peace was disturbed over the Christmas weekend by a gentleman with some kind of grudge who exploded a bomb that decimated the better part of a block in downtown Nashville. We've been speaking with Dr. Imani about the impact of that bomb. Any final words that you might have, Dr. Imani, for us?
I just ask that the listeners keep the city in their prayers, because folks are rattled. A lot of stuff doesn't happen like this here. Even with the tornado happening earlier in the year, we hadn't had anything like that in 22 years. So this has been a very heavy year. And, I ask that everybody please be safe. With the spike of infections that came after Thanksgiving, we're due to see another couple of spikes nationwide between Christmas and New Year's Eve. So, please, keep our city, keep our nation in your prayers. Please be safe, and let's try not to overload the healthcare system because we have so many wonderful physicians on the ground that are trying to make it work, and healthcare professionals all over, not just the doctors, but the nurses, the janitors, everybody who's trying to make sure that we as a nation make it through this thing. So let's all be safe, mask up, and keep praying.
Hey, folks, you got the word right there from Dr. Imani from Fisk University. We take your counsel and your advice. We wish you all the best for a very successful and peaceful new year. And we're going to keep you on the Rolodex, because I know we'll be talking to Nashville again soon. All the best to you, Doc. And thank you for spending time with us here on WURD.
God bless. Take care.
God bless, and thank you. That's Dr. Jocelyn Imani, Assistant Dean at Fisk University. I love Fisk. I mean, not as much as I love Oakwood, but I love Fisk is just, right there in the heart of Nashville. It's, like she said, about 2 blocks away. The bombing was on 2nd Avenue. Fisk University is a little bit further north of the downtown area, but it's still right in the heart of Nashville. It's near 17th Avenue. What a great place, and we're glad that we can get a word to you from Nashville, let you know everything, even though it was disturbing the peace, that things are settling back down in that wonderful music city. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and we will continue our conversation with you. But first, before we do, we want to remind everybody that today is the 3rd principal day of Kwanzaa, and the word for the day is Ujima. Ujima focuses on collective responsibility, and it encourages us to uplift others as a solution to conflicts. WURD continues to uplift our communities and provides a voice, ensuring that everybody is heard. And right now, you can be a part of that effort by joining the WURD radio family at a discounted rate of only $80 until January the 1st of 2021. Join now, save yourself a little money, and become a part of the empowering agency of WURD Radio. Become a forward member, and it gives you access to special events, exclusive digital content, WURD swag, like the sweatshirts, t-shirts, and all that good stuff, VIP invitations, discounts, and our printed newsletter, WordPress. If you'd like more information about what it means to be a part of the Forward movement and the WURD radio family, check us out at www.wordradio.com/join. That's www.wordradio.com/join for more details. We'll be coming right back after this break. Stay with us.
Parents, Teachers, Guardians. 100 Black Men of Philadelphia introduces your 6th through 12th grade students to the world of finance. Come to the Young CEO Financial Empowerment Open House on January 9th, 2021. Sponsored by Wells Fargo. Discover 3 free programs where students may win monetary gifts, prizes, and scholarships. Register today at 2021youngceo.eventbrite.com or call 267-258-2900.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at Forward. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
It is now 6:28. That means 32 minutes away from Sincerely Sarita. Safe Space for her. It's the name of the program, Safe Space, coming along at 7 o'clock right here on WURD 900 AM, 96.1 FM. Final half hour belongs to us. Let's get with it. Do a little conversing about what's coming along the year ahead. 2021 is right in front of us, folks. Right in front of us. How will it be different? We know that this year was a game changer. I mean, like our guest just told us, Nashville got destroyed. I totally forgot. I thought that was 2 years ago that tornadoes touched down in Nashville. I mean, we don't see that kind of thing in major cities too much in the Northeast, but every once in a while, tornadoes hit close to home. I think we did have a tornado that hit close to home. A couple of them hit close to home this year. But 2020 was a game changer. what can we look forward to in 2021? What do you think you will see? And folks, I'm not asking, those happy wishes. I'd like to see peace on earth and all the children hold hands on the mountaintop and sing songs of love. I'm talking about what can we do to make a difference? How can we make 2021 better than 2020 was? I mean, of course, the idea is to get rid of the pandemic. I thought the one thing that would be in the forefront of being dismissed would be the president, President Donald Trump. He's a miserable human being. I feel for him in some ways. I mean, just because I'm human, I feel for him because it must be hard to live with that level of misery, to have multiple millions of dollars at your disposal, and to still feel like everybody's out to get you, to still feel like somehow or another you're not getting a fair shake. It's got to be hard to have that level of resident misery. But I'm so glad to see him go. I'm so grateful that he will no longer darken the doorway of my television portal. I'm so grateful to see his wife gleefully and joyously packing to get out of the White House, and that he will no longer be the troubler of Israel, to use that metaphorical language, that he'll be gone. Now, I know and I recognize that what brought Donald Trump to us still exists. The zeitgeist that allowed his presence to become, shall I say, acceptable, that spirit still is out there, and we've still got to confront it. And we've got to confront it in honest ways. People have a right to feel what they feel. If there are white men living in Indiana and Kentucky and West Virginia and Arkansas feel like, they done took my country from me, and dadgummit. I'm sorry, but that just sounded funny to me, even though I said it. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. It's been a long day.
Shame.
I know, but I'm laughing at my own joke. I mean, but that is what you hear. When you go to some of these Trump rallies, man, these people are, they done took my country from me, and dadgummit, I'm going to get it back.
Globalists.
You like that globalist word, don't you? I know where you got that from.
I just don't see how that was a negative, but it is what it is.
Man. Hey, look, when you begin to feel that the important thing in life is to find out who is like you and then protect that. When you become a protectionist, when you become, when you become provincial, and you decide that, hey, my job is to look out for us four and no more, a globalist is threatening somebody who thinks that people on the other side of the world has just as much right to the same things that you want for yourself. Yeah, man, look, these people feel, this is what they feel. Number one, they feel that America is God's chosen people. They really believe that. They have swallowed the myth whole cloth that America is the greatest nation on earth. You hear people say that all the time. Even some of our elected officials will say, America is the greatest nation on earth. I don't know what metrics they deploy to take the measurement, because when it comes to education, America's not the greatest nation on earth. When it comes to neonatal concerns, babies being born and how many babies die in childbirth, no, we're not the greatest nation on earth. When it comes to crime and the homicide rate, we're not the greatest nation on earth. When it comes to healthcare, we're not the greatest nation on earth. When it comes to scientific advancement, we're not the greatest nation on earth. I imagine it's just the kind of thing we figure if we say it enough, that we will begin to believe it and we will live out our lie. And people, they just keep saying it for some stupid reason. We're not the greatest nation on earth anymore. More money? Well, we may have more money, but we also have more debt. So I'm not sure what they're getting at, but that's, that's where we are. We've gotten to a point where people are just kind of making this stuff up. And if people want to feel that way, that we're the greatest nation on earth, and if there are white men in this country who really feel who really feel put upon, that somehow or another somebody's taking something from them, or that somehow or another they're being treated unfairly. And they go to these rallies and they ball up their little fists and say, this country's been taken from the rightful owners of this country. Us people who came over and stole this country fair and square. We stole this country fair and square. And now they're trying to take from us what we done rightfully stole. And they've taken all my advantages and all my entitlements away, and dadgummit, I'm going to take it back again. Well, if people feel that way, they have a right to feel that way. What they don't have a right to do is act in accordance to those feelings at my expense. You know, if you happen to be a guy named Michael McGillicuddy or a Thomas Genovese or, or Helmut, Jackhoff, if you've got one of those names and you come from Europe or somewhere else, then you need to realize that you ain't got no entitlements in this country. You stole it from some people. And then you stole other people, well, not you, but your ancestors stole other people to make this land what it is. It is the free slave labor that allowed this country to build enormous wealth without having to compensate people who were the engines of that wealth building. That's what did it. And with that being the case, folks, let's be honest with ourselves. I can dispute your feeling of a loss of entitlement. I can dispute all of those things, even though you have a right to feel them. So what we've got to do is begin to engage people at their feeling level and say, okay, I accord you the right to feel that. I don't agree with you. I don't justify it, but I respect your right to feel that way. And I believe that kind of dialogue has to start next year. Real, healthy, meaningful dialogue so that we can dispel the spirit that led to the inauguration of a Donald Trump. Let's take our course across to the strong-shouldered city of Chicago, where Brother X is waiting to have us say thank you for joining WURD, Brother X, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, brother, for having this show. I admire your knowledge and courage.
Thank you, sir. You're very kind.
Oh, you're too kind. May I make a few comments, my good brother?
You certainly may.
As far as Atlanta, how many colored millionaires and well-to-do coloreds are in and around the Atlanta area? Why do the sheep, all of them got to chip in $2, $3? And the same thing go for Chicago, Detroit, Birmingham, Baltimore. There are black people there with buku money. But every time we need to do something, everybody got to chip in $1.75. I know the answer to that.
Brother X, I think that's better.
I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, I'll let you go first. You tell me why you don't think it's better, or should I go first so that you can dismantle
those people? Most of those people made their money on the back of colored folk, so they should give back to the community. They should be building community, not buying some jet plane, not buying some $30 million mansion like Michael Jordan bought outside Chicago. He's been trying to sell for 12 years, and the white boy keep waiting on him to drop the price. $30 million mansion, now it's down to about $12 million. They gonna get it for peanuts. He could have owned the south side of Chicago. Michael Jackson could have owned Gary, Indiana, right there on the lake, world-class airport. I know why they are not doing it. I just put the questions out there because I just want to cover some more ground.
Well, here's why I think it is better. When, say for example, let's say I'm a multimillionaire and I go and I buy a business, then people look at me and they say, Nick bought that business and that's his. And even if they like me and even if they think that I'm doing something nice for the community, they say, he's doing such a great thing for the community. And that's nice. But when the people come together in numbers and synergistically supporting one another, they pool their resources together and they own it together. I think that that is a greater gift to the community to have that spread ownership. It is to have that shared ownership. I think it's better for the community because it's something that we own instead of something that I own.
It's not about a business, although it sounds like it. It's about building community. All of us come on the shoulders and the steps of somebody else. These people have the money to build community. There's no way blacks should be scrounging in Atlanta, on the south side of Chicago. Your show is not long enough for me to name the black people that was in Chicago with money. Johnson Publication, Soft Sheen Hair Product, Johnson Product.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can go on and on. But guess what, brother? They did not control the south side of Chicago. They were satisfied with just making a little money. Now let me move on down the line. 2021 is going to be much worse than 2020 because the psychopath is on the move. The psychopath is creating an atmosphere where millions of black people can be exterminated.
Now, which psychopath do you? Are you speaking of a psychopathic spirit or or an actual individual psychopath? Are you?
The white supremacy power structure that runs Earth and outer space. They have been exterminating non-Caucasians for over 3,000 years. They have never apologized. They have
okay,
never.
now I'm going to ask you before we take our next break. When you make a statement that's sweeping, I have to ask you to give some foundation for it. When you say the white power structure, the white supremacist power structure, has been exterminating non-whites for 3,000 years, which takes us back to approximately 1,000 years before the Common Era. You've got to give me some chapter and verse to back up that statement.
Okay, Mexico. Who are those people in Mexico call themselves Mexican? They're not the original people in Mexico. Haiti.
But that doesn't have anything to do with white folks exterminating people or the white power structure.
They exterminated the original people in that land. What are you talking about? They exterminated the original people in that land called Mexico. They exterminated the people in a land called Jamaica, Haiti, Australia.
No, but here's...
You want me to go on?
Now, here's the thing. You said 3,000 years.
Put the number on it, brother. We ain't got to get bent out of shape on a number. Say 2,000 years.
But Brother X, if you say 3,000 years...
Yeah, because I'm saying how long they've been on walking the planet and how long they've been exterminating people. And that's my guess. But you put your number on it. What you say it is? 500 years?
I'm not making your claim. You're making that claim.
Okay, I'm just saying. That's what I say. Now let me move to this, brother. This is very important.
Okay, but but the reason I said it is because this was the foundation of your statement that a white psychopathic mind is going to lead to the extermination of more black power structure.
A white supremacist psychopathic power structure
is going to lead to the
Earth and space.
It's going to lead to the destruction of, and let's take another minute or so. It's going to lead to the destruction. It's going to lead to more destruction for black people or people of color. Is that what you're saying?
The Negro in America time is up. They are sitting the table to exterminate us.
I tell you what.
That's why you got Donald Hitler in.
Yeah. Brother X, I got to tell you, in the spirit of true candor and optimism, the idea of being exterminated is not on my agenda, and it's not on WURD's agenda. People have tried to exterminate black people, and there are people who might still wish that we would be exterminated. But the unfortunate thing is that most of these people would have to exterminate some of their own cousins because, as we are finding out, the bloodlines of humanity run so deep that if we start exterminating people, we will recognize that people who don't look like us are connected to us through interrelations that took place long before we thought they were. And like one person said, integration took place on the sheets long before they took place on the streets. And so the idea of exterminating people of color is a time that has passed. I don't buy into it. I perceive that we are on the march. You decry the fact that people are struggling to buy this gas station convenience store in Atlanta. I think that is a magnificent struggle. I think that it is a magnificent challenge that these people took these racist owners to task. And I want you to know something, that the owners of this station were not white people. They were immigrants from another country, but they were not white. And so racism and bigotry is not the private domain of any one group of people. But I think the fact that they protested, stood up against it, took them to task, strangled the resources so that racist ownership could not exist, and now they're in a position to take over that station, to make it a part of that community. I think that is a magnificent struggle. And I want to remind everybody to give $1, $5, $10 to help us buy a gas station online on the, what's the name of it? My brain is so tired, I can't think of it. GoFundMe. On the GoFundMe page. We had Joe Jones on earlier today on our program talking about that magnificent struggle, that magnificent effort. We're going to follow it. But let me just take this break by saying that the extermination of black people has been greatly exaggerated, and those who attempted to do so will find themselves frustrated because we keep on coming. We'll be taking this break, and then we'll be coming back. It is now 15 minutes away from the hour of 7 o'clock. Stay with us.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
This health and humanitarian crisis has shaken us all, as neighbors and as a nation. At Bank of America, we came together as a company and as a community with an unwavering commitment to advance racial equality and economic opportunity. We're thankful for the tireless efforts of our employees, partners, healthcare, and essential workers in the communities we serve. And we remain fully committed to the work ahead in 2021. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
I'm Councilmember at Large Isaiah Thomas. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccine for COVID-19 is coming. However, now is not the time to let your guard down. As COVID-19 continues to spread, keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, and please avoid large gatherings. It will take time before we all can get the vaccine. Until then, keep yourself safe, your family safe, and your community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe, everybody, and please stop the spread.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Got just a few moments left, maybe a couple of phone calls. If you want to make them, 215-634-8065. Coming up later on this week on Evening Words, we're going to be checking in with some of our local journalists to talk about the week in review. We're going to look back, the year in review. We'll look back over the year that was 2020. We'll talk about the big stories from this past year. But then more importantly, later this week, we're going to have some real spiritual leaders to come on and talk about 2021. What do you see ahead? We're going to ask them to channel their prophetic gifts and spirit to look through the calendar of the next year and to see what we might be in for. I'm of the opinion, now, many of you don't believe in a God who interacts with men, But I believe that God has allowed this year to come to us as a year of judgment, hopefully turning us away from. And when I say year of judgment, I'm not like some of those right-wing folks who believe that because some man held another man's hand, that God is bringing judgment upon the earth. No, no, no. I think it's because of our selfishness, our materialism, our self-centeredness that does it. All right, let's get to what might be our final phone call of the day. I love the name Thelma. I don't know why, but I always have. Thelma in Willingboro, thank you for calling. Welcome to the show.
Yes. Hi, how are you, Nick?
I am well.
Yes. I enjoy your show. I'm so glad that you're back and happy holidays.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. The reason I wanted to call was because I think that, we're speaking of owning a gas station and everyone putting the funds together to have one. That my aunt in Lancaster, Virginia, from which I was born, she was a single person who had a restaurant and a gas station. And she never married. She had help. It was like a 46-seat restaurant that she ran herself. But she also had a gas station. So, it's not too new for us to do this because we've done this before. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that with the new year coming, the country has to decide what type of country we want to be because it has changed so drastically that it's not going to go back to being what it was. And I think like what we need to focus on now is getting help, psychological help, to reduce the crime rate. Because if we can't do from within to clear up our soul and our heart, you cannot go out and do anything else.
There's something to be said for that. The pandemic led to a cessation of crime, but it raised the murder rate all over the country, which says something that we're still trying to sort out. But the idea that we need to see what condition our mental conditions are in as we go forward into 2021 is many people may think that you were just speaking poetically, but I think that there's a need for some collective therapy for our people. And when I say our people, I mean all of our people. Have you gone on, Thelma? You moved on?
Oh, okay. I'm absolutely agreeing with you. And because, we're a people that can do many, many things. But we really have to find out, who we are and what the truth is within our soul towards our own people. Because not everybody we really don't love ourselves enough to really work together the way that we should. And I come from a place in Virginia where everyone helped each other. Everyone knew who the next door neighbor was. And if you didn't have food, then you go kill a chicken, and we'll give it to you. And the church people would go and visit every week, and they always knew who was sick and who needed somebody to visit them.
Now this is down now. If I'm correct, Lancaster County, Virginia, is in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia near the Rappahannock River.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, my people. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, my people are on the other side of that in King and Queen County, and that area, people helped each other because they knew that was the only way they were going to make it, and they were strong people and strong families, and that's and you said that your mother or your grandmother had a
all of our Harkins own businesses, and we own a beach, Mary Point Beach, and and it was just a wonderful background, even though I was raised by my stepfather, who I never knew was not black. He was Indian, pretty much. I didn't know. But, you know, their thinking is a lot different from ours. But he owned a restaurant, farm, and a lumber company.
Well,
yes.
I mean, what led you away from Virginia to come up to live in the North?
Well, my thought they had 13 children.
That'll do it.
So, yeah, I'm the oldest of 13, so my stepfather wanted us to have better opportunities, so we moved to New Jersey. And it was just the most interesting story. And another story is that the Seventh-day Adventist people are one of the people that helped us the most.
Oh, wow.
Well, and I ended up being a Seventh-day Adventist for quite a few years, even though my parents were Baptist. But they were the ones that pretty much came in and really helped me. And, in Bristol, we had Elder Street. I was baptized there.
You are, I mean...
There's a lot of history in my life. And
I've got to figure out... do me a favor, Eric, because we're right up against the clock. Get Thelma's info so that I can catch up and get the rest of that history. But we are right up against the clock. Thelma, I want to thank you so much for your call and for just sharing a little bit of your journey with us from all the way down in the Tidewater area of Virginia off the Rappahannock River in Lancaster County. It's where my folks come from down that way too. So if you'll just hold on, Eric will get your number. I've got to get ready to say farewell because coming along, Sarita Martin makes her way before you, asking you to save a little space. We want to thank all of the folks who made the program possible today, starting off with our guest, Congressman Dwight Evans. Thank you so much for joining us today. That vote was taken, and that vote did pass. It was taken, and the vote did pass for the stimulus package. We thank Congressman Evans for that. We thank Joe Jones for joining us earlier today, for telling us about that successful boycott down in Atlanta, Georgia. And last but not least, we thank Dr. Jocelyn Imani from Fisk University for giving us a report on Nashville. On behalf of all the folks who make it possible for us to speak with you on a daily basis from WURD Radio, including our producer of renown, Eric Nixon, I'm Nick Taliaferro, wishing you a great day today, a better one tomorrow, and we'll see you right here on the radio. Take care.